And we are live. Welcome to episode 3. Excuse me for the delays. Lots of things have been going off the rails today. Trying to put things in order. Had some things scheduled up and we've switched things out, but here we are. So no more delays. The reason I usually translate for Portuguese is right there in a bringing his dog in. All right, cool. Welcome, Junior, to the stream. And Ariel, the mermaid, welcome to the stream.
Hello.
And Mud Rabbit, we are all in the house.
Hello.
All right. We've got one more that we're waiting on. Carl, he has an extensive history. I'll let him describe himself. But in the meantime, right now, today, we've got Maxwell News. We've got all kinds of boom weeks and things to get into with Devolution. So on that note, you got some information for us, Mud Rabbit.
Oh, I like the title. I like Maxwell House Coffee.
Yeah, I used to drink it.
I know, right?
Started drinking.
So,
I prefer Starbucks, but
we've got a list so far of resignations that I'm reading about. We've got the CEO of Twitter, which is Jack Dorsey. We've got the CFO of NBC, the CFO of Walmart, the CFO of Goldman Sachs, the CEO of Mizuho. Due to banking glitches, they got some IT in there to fix the glitches, and he quit. One leads to many. Glitches. All of these people are resigning. I suspect we're going to have a lot more people resigning before this thing is over.
But it's actually coinciding with the beginning and the opening of the lists of all those things. However, they only have Corny's daughter running this, the same person that lost the tapes. So we know that this is all going to be on the up and up, and they're going to tell us everything, right? Plus the fact that Dorsey stepped down, and somebody even more crazy and censor prone. I was listening to that in Crowder this morning. You know, they just went off on the new head of the fascist and censoring Twitterverse. So yeah, that's all going on now. Walmart, that one surprised me.
Doesn't surprise me. Wasn't Hillary on the board of directors or something for that one?
Well, don't they basically run everything ever since old man Walton split it up to the kids?
We've been warned about Walmart and Amazon and all the big box, because when this whole thing started, 2 weeks to whatever it is now, you couldn't get stuff anywhere. Stores were closing down. In some states, it was so bad that store after store after store had to close. I mean, you can't keep the overhead and the rent if you can't sell items.
Well, that's another thing, and there's things that, for example, Marfugal News has talked about, to where some of those are being converted into other things because they're huge warehousing areas.
I've heard that.
And that's something to be concerned about as well, because you don't want to be stuck in an unused Walmart because they don't know where else to hide you. So those are problems. Now, speaking of hiding, we got a $25 million purchase from somebody who's supposed to be a public servant. Am I correct?
Oh, yes. Nancy Pelosi. She's moving to Florida and retiring. I don't think she's going to find too big of a welcome down here.
Piglosi is going down there. Good fucking luck. I don't think she'll make
what I want to know is, if they're also worried about global warming, is why are they all buying mansions on the beach?
Because that's something that will kill everything regardless. It'll kill everything regardless. So
because it's all about do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Well, that's what this whole demon rat regime has been about. It's all been about do as I say and not as I do. None of these people follow their own rules. I mean, Nancy goes maskless the whole damn time whenever she's doing anything outside the public eye. Okay, it's just about, controlling people and getting their subservience to the system. And they pass all their shit and they spend all the money so that they can inflate everything. Why? Because this is something that third world nations learned a long time ago. If you actually nationalize your debt and you create inflation, well, it's easier to pay off your debt. And that's what Obama tried to do. That's what sinks and destroys third world nations. And the guy's a freaking socialist nut job. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And after all, this is my channel. There were two big fucking banks that you were talking about, and this is most likely associated to the money laundering and the covering up of all of the stuff that Maxwell is going to be supposedly exposing. Now, is she really?
Well, I think they're going to try and turn it into something and blame it elsewhere like they always do. I mean, they're already throwing arrows and darts.
Oh, but isn't now global warming the big boogeyman again because they got nothing else to go to?
Well, now we've got this Omicron thing.
Oh, God, there's so much about that. Holy shit.
They're going to ramp up the fear just to keep us looking this way and not paying attention to what's going on.
But that's what all that is. I mean, like X-22 always thinks, you think it's about a virus. It's about an election. It's about control.
Yep.
You know, that's all it is. And Fauci's going down. That little rat bastard. I heard that he already went to Camp Delta down in close to Tierra del Fuego down here. But that was a year ago. And that's all that, you know, internet rumor and shit that at least I know about, but I'm not sure if it actually fucking happened. And Omicron, I've seen 5 shows today on Omicron. Jacob has had an interesting one as well. Plus, I got some Q drops that were about Omicron and the meaning of it, so you wouldn't have the she variant because that gets it too close to the origins. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh, that little mother. I used to like that bear. Oh well, life changes. It's a bizarre world. I was hoping for something from Maxwell because that bitch is still alive. And the lists that they've sent out are fake in their majority so far. I don't even know how much to trust of what's going to be coming out of this thing, even though they're drawing it up, because you got Corny's fucking daughter in charge of that shit.
I know. Doesn't that suck? And I think the judge is. I got to read up more on this judge.
So is this? I mean, is this just another step towards devolution? Because after all, the Rittenhouse trial gave us the opportunity to, you know, have self-defense, at least.
Well, we were told enjoy the show. So this is being put on for everybody's benefit to look at and watch. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those movies, you know, the superhero and the whole bit. And at the end of the movie, he unmasks the villain and the whole city just goes crazy, you know?
Yeah, the scene at the end of Scooby-Doo, it's where they always pull the mask off.
Cartoons, movies, they trick him. And what was that? Towering Inferno? Was that the one where he had the microphone on and when the guy was talking to him, everybody that was listening could hear what he was saying and realize who the real villain was? I mean, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing.
Well, they follow the same game plan because demons aren't that creative. They have to copy shit that was already done by somebody else, you know. So it's they repeat certain cycles, and you can see those. The problem is that most people don't study far enough back or know enough to actually recognize the cycles, and so they end up repeating these same, you know, cycles. Now, some of them actually studied the cycles, like, you know, Georgie boy, Mr. Moneybags, the billionaire control freak of open societies and shit.
Mm-hmm.
That motherfucker, you know, he grew up in the middle of all that shit and he studied all that stuff because he was, you know, 10 years old being educated by, you know, lieutenants and generals and everything else. What do you think people talk about?
He chose his path early on.
Exactly. And he knew how to get his money from at the cost of others. I mean, that guy is very well versed.
This is absolutely a psychopath.
And he's still there and he's still doing his fucking shit. I don't know. I'm hoping this month is going to be a good one. I don't know. Merry Christmas, maybe.
I'm holding to that one.
Wait a second. Maxwell on Christmas. Hillary in a bow wrapped up for the world to see. That would be fun. But I thought she already went. I'm thinking we're waiting for Bill at this point.
That's, you know, Real Raw News puts out these news about treason and who's been executed and, you know, all this stuff.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff, yeah.
I don't know how to take that. I really don't, because, or the list that they constantly run, that this person and that person, because what was it? Alec Baldwin was on one of those lists. And with all this drama that's going on now with him,
But see, who's to say that that wasn't set up and that's part of the movie?
Right.
Because they have to take him down without anybody actually knowing, because these fucking people are sick and they avoid shit. I mean, they hide everything that they absolutely can. So what
I don't think this was something planned because somebody died and another person got wounded.
Yeah, but who was it?
Yeah. Her
The person
background
that died was involved with all of that stuff. The person that promoted it and set it up was also influenced in certain situational influences.
Well, then if it's a setup, I would think that the dark side did it, because I can't imagine the white hats doing something like this.
Well, it would be an efficient way, but yeah, you're right. I mean, anytime that yeah. Fuck, I don't know who's the white hat or who's the black hat anymore. That's the thing that's really getting me.
Well, the shills are getting bad on Telegram because now they're sowing division between Linwood and everybody else and Michael Flynn, and it's just like, come on, people. We're all
But I saw the owl behind Michael Flynn's photo, and that kind of bothered me as well.
What was that?
I saw in one of Michael Flynn's Thanksgiving photos, there was a picture of him in the kitchen. There was this owl statue that was behind his head on the shelf behind him. Okay, but it was something that was part of the kitchen, part of the environment they were in, and that sort of, that just gets back to Bohemian Grove. And whenever I see that, it fucking triggers my ass. I'm like, wait a second.
Well, don't forget, he also was undercover for a long time, so he might have needed all these tools.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything is just a fucking show. And we live in 1984 world now. This is so bizarre.
Well, not everybody. I mean, I've got to say, it's pretty good in my area where I live. Nothing's changed. Governor DeSantis came out and said they will not shut us down. They will not cause us to lose our business. He basically said that what is it, the saying where you repeat things over and over, it's insanity, expecting a different outcome.
That was Albert Einstein. Repeating the same experiment over and over, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity.
That's exactly what he said.
DeSantis is good in those things. And the thing is, they're expecting it, for example, Omicron now. That's just another variant. Why? Because they want everybody. That's a whole nother story, and that's not what today's episode is necessarily about.
No, this is the distraction to keep our eyes off of what's really going on.
How much of a distraction is Maxwell, or how much of that is going to actually be real?
She's not the distraction. She's what they're trying to distract from, because one leads to another. Don't forget, there's a lot of people on each indictment, and one leads to many.
There are hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Junior, tu tá acompanhando isto? Tu normalmente pega no teu Google Translate no teu celular? Está conseguindo acompanhar alguma coisa? Tu tá mutado.
Não estou acompanhando, Miguel.
Tá. Então tem o seguinte, aqui nos Estados Unidos, aqui eu estou no Brasil, desculpa. Lá nos Estados Unidos tem um caso que está sendo feito agora, começou ontem. Ghislaine Maxwell, que tu ontem perguntou para mim quem é essa mulher. E eu mencionei que ela tem licença de piloto de submarino, então ela pode pilotar submarinos, é capitã de submarinos e esse tipo de coisa, e estava encarregada da ilha do Jeffrey Epstein, que era problemático e tinha todos esses sacrifícios e tráfico de pessoas de menor. E o caso dela começou ontem em Nova York, mas está envolvendo a menina que está fazendo parte do Estado, a Procuradoria. Ela já se comprovou comprometida no passado. Então, não sabemos até onde isto vai ir. Só que no mesmo dia que começou aquilo, nós tivemos... Mother Up, just one by one, tell me the list of the resignations. O primeiro foi Jack Dorsey da Twitter. Né? Tu já sabe desse.
The CFO of NBC.
NBC, também, que é mídia americana.
CNBC, my bad. CNBC.
CNBC. Same, yeah, ok. NBC, que também é uma grande mídia, aqueles que mentem mais que ninguém. tipo a pior da Globo. Esse também pediu as contas hoje, ontem. Who else?
The
Walmart?
CFO of Walmart.
O chefe financeiro do Walmart pediu as contas hoje. São pessoas
CFO
em
of Goldman
altos.
Sachs.
Goldman Sachs, que é um banco, também o chefe financeiro pediu as contas ontem por causa disso. And you had two more?
CEO of Mizuho.
I don't know who that is.
That was, he resigned because they brought in some upgraded tech that found all the glitches in the banking system in Japan.
Banking system, that was in Japan. Oh, holy shit. Okay. O chefe financeiro de um banco japonês, Mizuho, eles fizeram um upgrade no sistema, encontraram um monte de bug, e quando encontraram os bugs, este cara terminou pedindo as contas porque evidentemente acharam alguma coisa no sistema financeiro do Japão. And the last one
devem ter encontrado.
O que foi, Júnior?
Alguma coisa devem ter encontrado, é.
Tudo, porque estão justamente no tribunal de um pedófilo, que essas pessoas decidem sair. Nós estamos falando de lavagem de dinheiro, nós estamos falando de bancos multinacionais que estão envolvidos em encobrir toda esta porcaria. Entendeu? Isso que está vindo à toa hoje. Agora, tem três fatores. O fato que a procuradoria já está comprometida, então nem sabemos se eles vão fazer a coisa legítima e justa. Tá? Segundo, que muitas informações já estão vazando que são falsas, e terceiro, que justamente este caso que todo mundo está tentando distrair, nenhuma da mídia está falando sobre aquilo, e isso é o enfoque do nosso programa hoje. Então, queria te atualizar, e daqui a pouco te atualizo com mais informações. Mas coloca teu Google Translate ali, por isso que eu estou deixando ela falar, para você ter tempo para poder fazer essa...
Eu tô com um problema de áudio que tá bem baixinho, Miguel. Eu tenho que me esforçar para escutar até você.
Sério? All right,
so e aconteceu na hora que entraram elas. Quando entrou elas, deu algum problema aqui no meu áudio aqui que ficou bem baixinho. Daí por isso que eu não tô conseguindo pegar no...
All right. He's having audio problems. He can't hear very much on his computer. So I want to know if anybody else has that problem.
Nope, I've mine.
Tá bem baixinho.
His is really low, evidently. So I'm not.
My mic's all the way up.
But you guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
I can hear you just fine.
All right, cool. So, tem alguma coisa ali, Júnior, porque evidentemente, mas tá, vou manter isso em mente e vou te manter atualizado.
É no meu computador, Miguel, com certeza. A hora que eu entrei, estava funcionando normal. Elas entraram, deu algum problema no meu computador.
All right, so there was something on his computer that where the memory or something backed up to where his volume dropped. All right, so with that, Mudra, please continue. You had so much more. Let's go.
Well, unrelated, Chris Cuomo was suspended for helping his brother craft a defense. And what had happened was at the time they found it, a while back when they suspected him or when they spoke to him about it, he said he was putting family ahead of job, and they agreed. But then something
he was covering his own ass.
Yeah, something came to light that showed that he had lied to the head biggies over at CNN, so they suspended him.
Well, those guys get a big head and they think they can actually do anything, and they're untouchable and invincible. And in many cases, they actually might be, because whenever you've got the help and aid of large political factions that control just
they're trying to keep their own noses clean, because they don't, this thing blows up in their faces, they don't want to be connected.
For the governor of New York to go down for sexual harassment or whatever the fuck he did versus the murder of tens of thousands of old folks just to push a plan, that's what necessarily bothers me, because it shouldn't be it shouldn't be that superficial. People should actually know what these motherfuckers actually do.
I think all the truth will come out later. Remember, they said that if they talk, some of them can get life instead of the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And those that talk that are still qualify for the death penalty will have their legacy kept clean.
Yeah, kind of like No Name.
Right. But
You know,
look
no-
at, we all know what No Name did, and all of this is going to come out. It's coming
Yeah,
out now.
but not everyone. Carl, hello, Carl.
And Carl's in the chat. Looking for the.
Holy crap! How long have you been here? Oh, 1 minute. Carl, go up and please jump in. We've been waiting for you, buddy. We've been covering all kinds of Maxwell news and everything else. So, yeah, lots of stuff to do. And lots of things to go over because there are lots of dominoes that are falling. And I'm still waiting for those 10 days of darkness. I'm thinking that something's going to crash at one point. Don't know when. But the thing
I
is,
don't think darkness means blackness.
no. I'm talking about a blackout. I'm like internet blackout or an EMP hit or something like that. To where 10 days dark, to where there's no. All right, Combat Carl, you need your microphone or camera before you can be added to the stream, and welcome aboard. Thank you very much.
He can turn the camera off before entering.
Yeah, just perfect. Yeah, great. With I should have thought about that before I actually picked my nose. Holy fucking shit. Yeah, so professional. Yeah, I changed my setup and I tried to do everything because I'm trying to reinvent the freaking wheel. But here we are, episode 3, and we're getting into a lot of stuff. As soon as Combat as soon as Carl gets his devices activated, so I can add him onto the screen. Let's continue on with a little devolution. Where are we at on that?
Oh Lord, where were we? I think
How far did we get? How far?
we didn't get very far.
And I was kind of all over the place, and I've been trying to bring things back into a focus because I'm neurotic about that. I'm definitely OCD on my shit, and it doesn't.
I think that's why we see everything happening. And when you look up the definition of devolution, we're not able to get our shipments. Prices are going up. Maybe it's just a pleasant word for a slight recession. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's accomplishing breaking the Dems' backs because they're broke. Friday, they run out of money. And
and they haven't raised the debt ceiling yet, have they?
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, so I think we should all keep our eyes on.
If anybody's got any cash, dump it into Bitcoin now, because if the U.S. defaults, motherfucker, that is bigger than London 82, which kicked my ass, which is my next personal episode, and my episode with my dad is focused on that. When is that date,
I think we should be paying attention to the.
Yellow.
I think you're fading out. You there?
Okay. I'm here. You here?
Okay.
All right, cool.
I can hear you.
Repeat.
I can hear you.
No, repeat what you were saying. We're all good now.
I think we should pay attention to the BIS.
BIS?
The Bank of International Settlements.
Oh, that one, yeah. The CIA.
The World Economic Forum. And the International Monetary Fund. I think we should watch the people that run these things and see what they do.
Yeah, what they've already said what they're going to do and build back better as part of that. And we're seeing that all over the freaking globe. But that's also part of the Marxist agenda. And they're going to be pushing all their bullshit. Now, how do we fight back against that is the question. Whoa, okay, Combat's up. Hello. Combat Carl, you're on. Welcome to the stream, buddy.
All right, cool. Okay.
All right. I need to get your volume up, or you need to get your volume up.
Or just get closer to the mic.
No, hold on. No, I had him on half.
That's all right. Why. Testing 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Can you hear me?
Much better. All right, you mathematical genius, you brother. First of all, in the first email that you sent me a resume that was extremely impressive, sir. So if you could just mention a couple of those things to everyone, and welcome aboard, Carl.
All right, thank you. Well, all right. Well, I've lived in 23 countries and 39 states. I served in the Marine Corps for 6 years, in the United States Navy for 10 years. I've had every job you could possibly think of. Had a top secret clearance for 10 years. Primary job in the Navy was communications, with specialized in HF, UHF, VHF, basically the broad spectrum frequencies.
We could talk SETI all day there.
But to be honest, I went through high school, went through the Marine Corps, went through the Navy, and then I went through the college thing, and I never really learned anything. I didn't start learning anything until I got out and hit the civilian world and found the internet, and that's when I started getting real answers. At an early age, I was told that everything I'll ever learn is a lie, and it's my job to find the truth. And I was told that.
Who told you that?
I was in church one day. I was about 12, 13 years old. I don't even think I was a teenager yet, so probably between 11 and 12 years old. And this old man was there, and he said, "Look, son, you're going to go through a lot of stuff in life, but one thing you got to know and understand and keep in mind is that everything that they teach you is a lie. Your job is to go and discover the truth." And I've had that in the back of my mind my entire life.
How old were you when you had that realization?
Like I said, I was 11 or 12 when he told it to me.
Well, that's the age when
And
we
it
define
was-
ourselves.
And to be honest, it was right around the time I was baptized. So, that was a turning point in my life, at an early age.
All right.
I was facing in my mind's eye, I had two futures in front of me, one of darkness and one of light. And
That's not true.
I was at that crossroads, and both were, I was being communicated with a lot at that age. It was, if you go down the dark road, everything's unexpected and the rewards will be great, but they don't talk about the cost to get those great rewards. On the light side, it was, you're going to have to work hard and you're not going to get everything that you want, but what you get, you will need. And I would rather have what I needed than what I wanted. So that's the route I took.
That's generally where the message lies. Welcome aboard, Carl. Now, the thing that impressed the shit out of me before I even got the resume that you sent me through the email, and that was quite impressive, sir. You were going on some stuff that had Aaron spinning his head, because I saw you on the Quest for Truth, where Mud Rabbit is a mod. And that's where I met Mud Rabbit as well. It's went over to Jacob's channel. Mud Rabbit's been following along the entire time with all kinds of information that I thought I knew shit, and evidently not enough. And then you come along with Toward Field and all your Tesla equations and the mathematics behind it and vortex mathematics. Always interested. And you also talked about getting into higher realms of understanding the reality in which we're in, which is what I'm writing my book about. I've been interested in this conversation all week. Welcome aboard, Carl. Tell us something about vortex math, and don't get too mathy and geeky on us, because otherwise the few people that actually here are going to phase out.
All right, so you make it sound really complicated. Vortex math is just the opposite. It is designed for first and second graders to understand and comprehend.
You were doing an experiment with Aaron to where it was basically doubling the numbers and getting back to it's almost like numerology and shit.
Right. So real quick, when I was in college and my professors had consistently stepped out, I took over the classes. Now I taught communications. And when you're in college, you've got 15, 20 different subjects that you're bouncing around in your head at all times. And thinking clearly is never, right off the bat. So to get everybody up to track, I said for 30 seconds, just start with the number one and double it and see how far you can go. And it's a test. It's a mental test every day. So it's just 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 5, 12, 10, 24, blah, blah, blah. And you keep going, 20, 48.
That's just to keep your mind fresh on a constant basis, right?
Right. And, you go as high as you can until you stumble. And then you think about the number, you calculate it, you remember it, and then you start over and then you move on. Well, I did this for years. And when I stumbled across Tesla, he said, man, if you discover the secrets of 3, 6, and 9, you'll unlock the mysteries of the universe. And that's what I have been searching for. Because
so hold on, right before you take off on that one, Júnior, como está teu volume? Ainda está baixo? Está mutado de novo. Fala.
Eu estou te escutando, Miguel.
Beleza. Tu tá conseguindo acompanhar ou fazer um Google Translate ali ou não?
Não.
O Carl tem uma experiência grande, 29 países, 23 países, 39 estados, e esse tipo de coisa. E agora nós vamos entrar em matemática de vórtice, tá? E isso vou tentar explicar para você. Antes disso, nós estamos falando sobre os números de Tesla 3, 6 e 9 e o exercício mental que ele faz constantemente, que é duplicar os números 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, basicamente como temos no computador, 128 e 526, e duplicar eles constantemente. E isso ajuda você a exercitar teu cérebro, e o que ele está fazendo desde os 11 anos, ele descobriu, um cara falou para ele que tudo que você vai aprender é uma mentira e nada disso é verdade. O teu trabalho é descobrir qual é a verdade. Então, desde os 11 anos, você tem sido à procura dele. Beleza. Estamos em dia. Continuando. Obrigado. Come back, Carl. You're on. We're up to date on the Portuguese section. So I try to make this as open to as many people to be able to understand, comprehend, and get into as possible. That's just what I try and do. I reach out to as many people to try and teach them about, one, what's really going on in my book, what the world and reality really is, what that means to you, and like people that are around me have been learning the Maxwell pyramid, the levels of comprehension, and reaching your blue level, your self-realization type thing. Most people stop at the green, or actually they look for the green because that's where the respect and recognition is. I learned it as motivational things. When you get to the green, you stop being motivated because you don't find your own personal realization. My personal blue is my book, which I'm still working on because it's my blue. I haven't reached it yet. And this channel is part of that, and getting everybody to know. So your vortex math and the fact that I'm talking about a quantum multiverse, okay, with what I've described as a destiny tree, to where all these quantum possibilities exist. It just depends on which ones that you actually choose to enact in every microsecond of your existence, on which part of that destiny tree you will reach. There are some actions that you do which will take you to the pinnacle of what the best of who you could possibly be in this world is, and those are immeasurable when you're young. When you're older, like me, your possibilities are shrunken to certain things. I always lived my life looking to where I'd be like 65 or 70, and how would I look back on my life and try and build things towards that vision of what I wanted to see myself as eventually. Because we only get one life and we're here, but we've got to figure it out. And I'm still trying to figure it out. So, Carl, give us some of that vortex math, sir. The floor is yours.
Right. Well, good news and bad news. Good news is you haven't wasted your life, and everything that you learned has its purpose. The bad news is they gave you the wrong mathematics to figure out the answers to your questions. So it's that link I showed you on my, or that I commented on my Instagram channel was a
I need to get that from your email, and I will put it in the description, and I'll even put it into the chat. So continue going. I'm going to look.
Okay. So anyway, so I'll continue to that point in just a second. Let's get a baseline. So Nikola Tesla said, if you discover 3, 6, and 9, you'll unlock the mysteries of the universe, which is the foundation that everything in existence is created from. And what that is, when you use vortex, well, vortex math is God's signature. Okay, it's a way that we can physically see what God is creating. So when God spoke, he spoke our existence into being, created the universe by using sound. Everything in our existence is a resonant frequency, okay, a resonant sound wave. Okay, and that sound wave.
That's exactly the first 2 or 3 chapters in my book is explaining exactly that. Yes, the universe was created in the Word. I mean, the Bible tells us that. Confirm with me if this is the link you were talking about. I'm putting it into the chat right now. I think that's what it was. Oh no, that was the Fall of the Cabal. That was another link.
That's it.
Oh, that was it. All right, cool. So
Fall of the Cabal.
That's on the screen right now for everybody who catches this later on. We'll be able to follow that. Tell us more about that link, and then we can get back into the vortex and Tesla math and blowing our fucking minds.
All right. So I wanted to, I was, news and information was slacking on all the, YouTube, Facebook, everything else like that. Instagram came along and, I saw so much wonderful information. I needed a way to collect what I thought was relevant and important. So I created a channel, and the name of it, well, my ultimate goal is to see the Fall of the Cabal. So I just put Carl's Fall of the Cabal, because there's 3 other Fall of the Cabals.
Okay, so that gets us into we're on episode 3 right now of my Tuesday series, which is precisely the Fall of the Cabal, because that's what the 17th letter of the alphabet and devolution is all about. And that's what we've been getting into these last 2 weeks, or trying to get deeper into. Mud Rabbit's got so much information on that. It's incredible. And I've been digging my ass into at least 7 different channels and spending 16 hours a day just researching videos and all kinds of other stuff.
Yes, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it can be. But like Mud Rabbit says, it's showtime. It's all a show. We should actually be more relaxed because we know that it's already been done, and in the end, God wins, right?
I am comfy as all get out.
You got your popcorn like a motherfucker. I get that. I'm out of popcorn. That's my whole thing. Holy shit. It's taken too damn. I mean, we have 4-year deltas on some of this stuff, man.
Oh, I know. I was just, and of course, I've been waiting all day impatiently for your show to start, and catching up on the fall, on the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, because I haven't been reading it, and I've had so many ideas of what bullshit is going to be thrown at us, and then I keep seeing glimmers of hope and glimmers of hope and glimmers of hope, and one of the greatest things I think most accurate things I heard today is that Ghislaine Maxwell was not number 2 to Epstein. She is number 1.
Why do you think Epstein didn't kill himself? Because they need a witness.
Exactly. She's not, well, actually, she's, in the line of thing, her father's number, her father.
She just took over her dad's job because he was working for the Mossad, and he was doing all that thing to control the whole fucking planet.
Right. So, the hierarchies, the Mossad and, the
Well,
Vatican.
it's safe to say that if her father worked for them, then they both worked for them.
Exactly. And, there are, lots of memes about Mother Teresa being the, biggest child trafficker in the history. Well, I think reported history, because, the reports, these reports of the missing.
I knew there were things about her, because when she died, she said that she did so much charity, but she didn't feel the grace of God. Well, maybe there's a fucking reason for that.
Oh,
holy shit!
You can't buy your way into heaven.
Oh, absolutely, never. It is by grace alone. It is not by your works, because we are all sinners. We are all faulty, and none of us fucking deserve any of that. It is only by the grace of Jesus Christ. That is the only way in. Period. The end. and I felt some nails. He had every time Junior's over, because I usually pick up the Bible with him and everything else. And so yesterday, Junior came over and we had some beers like we usually do. And Father was with me, and he made me feel some nails that I was plugging into his son's hands. And it's a rough feeling. So whenever you know that you are into that, then you understand that you don't want to put any more fucking nails into those wrists. There's enough pain out of that crown of thorns. We don't need to be shoving it deeper onto the scalp and everything else. And getting under that realization that, yeah, somebody's got to pay for the stupid shit I do. It makes you do less stupid shit. But these people think they're not going to pay, and so they continue. And that's wherein fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. Because when you think that there is somebody higher that will judge you, you start paying attention to what the fuck you do. I could be
I have
wrong.
a question for
Please.
Carl.
Go ahead.
Do you think these people like Ghislaine and Epstein and Hillary, they all know about the 369?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you think
All right,
they
so-
use it?
Absolutely. All right.
Okay.
So gotta remember, you gotta understand, this is the foundation of everything. Okay. And it's also where once you understand what this encompasses, and you just look at the shape. Okay. The shape is a large donut. Okay. It's round. It has a stem in the center, and it's a torus field. Right. So
which is also around the planet. It's the magnetic.
Let me describe real quick. So you have a 0 point, which is we'll call the sun. It's a bright white light. It's a 0 point. It's a massive condensed energy field. Okay, and that energy field on the top expels all information and all data out in billions of lines or frequencies, and they come out and around, and then they get sucked right back up into it. At the bottom, okay, so that 0 point is a black hole on the bottom and a white hole on top, and that's how it works. So it sucks the
I was
information.
watching a video about black holes and white holes the other day, wasn't I?
All right. So, but these toroid fields, like I said, the what we call electrons are not electrons. They're just a tiny resonant toroid field, a tiny resonant toroid field. Now, these toroid fields are positively and negatively charged. I mean, there's, it's just what they are. It's just, everything above that 0 point is positive. Everything below the 0 point is negative. Okay, black hole, white hole type thing, sucking it in, shooting it out.
So how do they utilize it against us?
All right. So when you expand and you pump all these toroid fields on top of each other, one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, you are creating dimensions. Okay. All right. These dimensions are transversable when you know their resonant frequencies. Our Earth has a resonant frequency of 7.43 hertz, and it's increasing to 8.6, I think. But eventually it'll get to where we're supposed to be, which is 13, 14 hertz. So if you know that the dimension to hell, or say, a darker dimension, resonates at 7.125347.9 hertz, and you vibrate your body, or you create a device that can resonate at that frequency, you can just open a doorway and walk right through. Okay, so they can travel through these dimensions, even higher dimensions, at free will.
That's how they communicate with other dimensions that hold beings that we don't necessarily want in this dimension.
You've heard of the yellow cube, or through the looking glass technology.
Yes,
they're different things, but the same purpose.
Right, the same thing. They generate a resonant frequency that can peer into any dimension, and these dimensions are running, parallel to us.
Yeah.
But
Nikola Tesla himself used to say that when his maid found him almost dead and crazy, that he could see all times at the same time, because that's the machine that he had created, and it almost drove him nuts. Because seeing all times at the same time, that's the best part of the dimensional tree, is seeing that quantum multiverse being realized. And so when we can see all
So
the different options,
what they're doing is keeping us at a lower resonance.
yep, that's through fear, that's through
keeping
anger, that's through vengeance,
and
that's
us.
through,
Well,
So it's
kind of-
important to keep a positive outlook.
always.
Right. They keep us down, and by keeping us down, it keeps the earth down.
Hmm.
See, we are connected. The earth is a living entity.
Oh, yes,
As
I believe that.
The earth is an avatar, just like these bodies are avatars to us. It
Right.
is an eternal, immortal spirit.
We
And the
are
earth-
here to protect Gaia. That is our function. We are here to serve and protect. Why? Because it is our home. We were here to, yes, she is our servant, but we are to protect her and nurture her. You don't just use and abuse and then throw them away. That's not what you fucking do. And that's what humanity is doing right now. We're just extracting and throwing it away and looking for other planets that we can extract from as well, or minerals from comets or everything else they're trying to catch.
I don't
It's
mean
just
to interrupt, but
mentality.
to go back how they're using it. So when you have access, so all these timelines are running simultaneously. So
Yep.
if you wanted to see Jesus Christ right now, you could, because he's living today in a different dimension. Okay. But what you don't realize, none of you realize, is that since the day you were born to today, you have not existed in the same dimension. Sorry, you're
Well,
a
that I
dimension.
understand.
You're an interdimensional traveler, and you always have been.
Right.
Yep.
And choices
We are-
that you make kind of send you in one direction or another.
I call them soul challenges, spiritual challenges. You go
Yeah.
through a life crisis, just
One,
keep
it's a
making
prison
wrong
planet.
decisions.
Two, it's an educational planet. And three, the fact that we are in the world and not of it, which means that we come from somewhere else, and we are here to learn things. That is why we're here. We evolve. We see different challenges within the three-dimensional context to be able to take it to the 5, 6, 7, 8-dimensional realities, to where those thought processes have consequences which are much more fundamental and profound.
Well, what they've done is limited our choices.
Also, so we can actually focus and see, because otherwise it's a myriad of possibilities that drives you fucking nuts.
No, I mean this lower vibration.
Oh,
They've
explain that
limited
one.
our choices of growth. They've dumbed down the educational system. They've not given us proper information. They give us a little bit of truth wrapped in a whole lot of lies.
Well, you've
So we
heard of
don't
Satan, right? You've heard of
Sorry?
Satan. You've heard of Satan, right?
the
Yeah.
adversary.
Okay, the great adversary, the great deceiver.
Yep.
Right? He has a lot of minions, and those minions have took control of our planet thousands of years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that.
All right.
Absolutely.
So,
We're all on the same page.
when it comes to my focus has always been on two things: history, number one, to learn the truth, and communication.
Yeah.
But history is difficult because it's dark, and there's so many wrong answers going everywhere that doesn't. So I follow things that connect, that connect and draw basically a picture. One of the stories that, of course, you have to trust outside sources that can't be verified. But one of the stories that falls in line with a lot of the ancient texts and these other stories is that once upon a time in a galaxy not so far away, there was a federation of planets. And
Still
this
is.
federation protected this planet Earth. And one day, an evil, dark entity entered this field, entered this realm.
Yeah,
And-
the Vedic texts describe that as well, don't they?
Right. Little, like I said, there's, it's mentioned here and there. So anyway, this dark fleet comes in, and destroys the Federation. The Federation loses the fight. Now, this Federation is created of a whole bunch of species, intelligent species, including human, reptilians, Mayans, basically Africans and French, and we're all different species. We all come to have different genomes.
Yeah, Gaia has a special on that. There's this kid talking about the Syrian and all kinds of different species that came here as well. Continue.
Right. All right. So anyway,
hold on.
Once we lost the fight, the inhabitants on this planet were screwed. They were no longer protected. This dark entity took over, and
how far back was that, Carl? Because I need to translate some of this to Gina.
Just say a long time ago.
That won't.
I'm serious because time is different today than it was when all of this took place. But
and
you can
it really doesn't matter.
say 500,000 years.
Time is relative.
500,000 years is a good time frame. That's what's been mentioned.
All right, Júnior, teu Google Translate não está fazendo nada, né? E tu tá perdidinho. Beleza. Chegamos ao tópico agora, que saímos da matemática e entramos dentro do que seria uma batalha espacial entre a Federação the Galactic Federation. Is that it, Carl?
Yep.
All right. A Federação Galáctica, que estava protegendo o nosso planeta, e que nem o Star Trek, ajudando nós.
Exactly. Star Trek.
E depois que tem histórias, textos, e ele diz o tempo é irrelevante, pode ser 500 mil anos atrás ou qual, porque o tempo é diferente em diferentes épocas e é visto de diferente forma. Porém, houve uma frota oscura de uma entidade dominadora que terminou destruindo a Federação das Galáxias, as tropas e as frotas da Federação das Galáxias, e eles terminaram escravizando a Terra, dominando a Terra, e nós estamos sob controle dessas entidades malignas, negativas, há algum tempo. So that dark fleet took over the Galactic Federation. They are now in control. They destroyed. And they took over our planet, and we have been a slave population to them since then.
Let me finish that story. So
right.
this dark entity came in, defeated the alliance, the Federation. So the Federation had to retreat out of this space. Once they got here, they basically manipulated the DNA of all species on Earth, creating giants, chimera, nasty things.
Which is the Sumerian and the biblical text describing the same fucking thing.
Right. So God came in, wiped that crap out. Natural disaster that was unavoidable. Gaia, you could say Gaia did it, or the Earth did it.
No, God's in control of everything. God wins.
Now, even though they wiped out all those species that were there, these dark entities didn't go anywhere. They were still here.
Yep.
This is, like I said, this is still the time before Adam and the stories of the Bible. But this is
that's already Noah. Or are you talking, because the Mayans used to talk about this was the fifth generation.
No,
so I'm assuming Adam and before Noah were like the fourth generation, because we're on the fifth. So that would mean there were 3 generations of humanity.
I think this was before Lumera.
So that's before Atlantis. Okay.
Before Atlantis. This happens.
Atlantis was basically Noah's time, and Noah's flood eliminated Atlantis, which was a global civilization.
Which is
you have Lemuria and Mu before that, according to some texts.
Yeah, Lemuria and Mu.
So I'm just interested in which level you're talking, which phase of societal destruction you're talking about.
So I think this took place at the destruction of Lemuria and Mu. And then, because Atlantis was after that.
Mm-hmm.
And, all right, so after that destruction, the Anunnaki enter the picture, because it's kind of a clean slate. Not much is around, So they come in, forced to mine gold for their own planet, supposedly. They use their genetic DNA mixed with remnants of hominid species on the planet and create Homo sapien. Okay, now that we know was 250,000 years ago. Okay, so that was the creation of Homo sapien. Every other species on this planet that we have fossilized DNA records of has existed for millions and millions and millions of years each. From Cro-Magnon man.
We've also got the dragon man that was recently discovered there in China, which was, even before. We've also got the Denisovian man that was in the Americas before the Native Americans actually crossed the Bering Strait. So we've had lots of bone structures, civilizations, and weapon structures.
A great research on the history of bones is Lloyd Pye. Lloyd Pye, P-Y-E.
Gotcha, and I've seen that one. Yeah.
Okay, so
write it up in chat, and I'll put it on the screen for everybody.
All right. I'm not. You want me to put it in chat?
Yeah, that'd be good because that way we can actually make sure that it's available to everyone
on YouTube or on YouTube or on whatever this is.
Right now, I'm streaming on YouTube. And
streaming.
Because
if you want me to type it in I'll type it in on YouTube.
Okay, or just tell me and I'll type it in.
All right.
Lloyd Pye, 2 L's, right?
Yes, Lloyd Pye, P-Y-E.
P-Y-E, yeah.
I think.
All right, there we go.
Anyway, now Lloyd Pye is amazing. He studied bones his whole life, and his long story short, he studied bones his whole life, and he wanted to prove or disprove Sasquatch, Bigfoot, as relative.
Bigfoot? Well, hold on. I got to get Junior up to date because he's lost. Hold on 1 second. That's the whole thing about doing this into, because it's information that's good for the entire planet. And so, considering that I'm living in Brazil, I try and make it as open and understandable as possible. Júnior, onde que eu deixei? Porque nós terminamos a invasão, porém, the Galactic Federation wasn't destroyed; they dispersed, but they're coming back.
They came back in 2012. And
okay. That's why 2012 is big. Okay, gotcha. All right. Então, nós temos os negativos, aquela frota negativa que estava em controle de tudo por milhares de anos, e ele estava falando sobre, antropologicamente, as diferentes Denisovian Man e outros. Eu falei sobre o Homem-Dragão que foi achado na China. There was another anthropological find that you mentioned, that I mentioned Denisovian Man before that. You mentioned something else.
Right. Basically, you go throughout history. Each ancient hominid two-legged species has been on this planet that they found bones for, has been on the planet for millions of years, each generation.
Todas as gerações que nós vimos até agora de bípedes com 2 patas estão aqui há milhões de anos. Então, basicamente, nós já fomos geneticamente alterados há muito tempo atrás para ser a realidade que nós vemos hoje. Porém, em 2012, a Confederação Galáctica conseguiu voltar e ajudar a dissipar a influência da frota maligna neste planeta. Por isso que 2012 terminou sendo tão significante. A partir desse momento, nós partimos para outros tópicos dos quais eu queria te aprimorar, mas eu queria terminar aquele tópico antes de poder te traduzir o restante. Se você está escutando bem no teu computador, você pediu para eu calar a boca um pouco para você fazer aquele Google Translate das coisas que eu estava assumindo. Porém, sim, estou mais fácil quando você está aqui e não no teu AP, mas é outros 500. Beleza. Carl, we're more or less up to date to the
Okay, so
2012 scenario, but you went on beyond that afterwards. And I'd like to get a synthesis of that so I can translate that to him in Portuguese, because it was extremely interesting. You were getting on some other stuff as well. That was
I get sidetracked, and it doesn't. I mean, once they're all connected. So, I'm trying to do it timeline wise sucks. So we can bounce around a little bit. All right. So you're talking about the Galactic Federation, 2012. The Blue Avians came in and set up the grid ring around our solar system, creating a barrier preventing all dark forces from entering or leaving our solar system.
So that's where Corey Good and the Blue Aliens get into, right?
Correct. And a lot of this information is his. Not all of it by any means, but when it comes to the Blue Avians, some of the Space Force, but these stories have been translated in different languages, written in different languages throughout history. And I'm giving a quick synopsis of abridged versions of all those stories.
Oh, absolutely. And we're all more or less on the same page, Carl. I mean, that's one of the things that I wanted you on this show, because you, me, and Mud Rabbit have this same vision of what's been happening, because we've been digging into this shit for a long fucking time. And so we're all on the same page. We're all talking the same language.
I find this fascinating.
Absolutely.
I find this incredibly fascinating. Right. He puts it.
Go ahead.
Okay,
he puts it in terms people can understand.
Absolutely.
Right. So to continue this, it's important to go back to Lloyd Pine, because he discovered that our human fossils just appeared 250,000 years ago. So that tells us that we were created here. If every other mammal on the planet has existed for millions of years, why did we just pop up 250,000 years ago? What ties into that is I took a physiobiology class, or a physiopsychology class, biopsychology. Sorry, it's a study of the brain. In that class, we discovered that human beings have a gene in us that is not found in any other species on the planet. Mammal, insects, nothing. Nothing has this gene that we all possess. So that means that we were created from something that is not originally from this planet. So all of this ties back into the Anunnaki story of them creating a slave force to work for gold. Okay, now they created our avatars. They created these bodies, all right, which goes into the whole God thing. And I'll try to keep it as brief and non.
That's all right. You're here for a purpose. Go ahead, Carl.
So we all believe in God, but no one has ever really told us what God is.
Okay.
It's important to ask this question because you got to understand. Those who created us are not gods. They created us in their image. They are not gods. Well, okay, they are gods to a point. I mean, God is, you look at it that way. When I think of God personally, I think of He who spoke this universe into existence.
There you go.
Okay, so that to me is God. Now, that could just be an advanced species in a different dimension who created this dimension. Okay, but to my knowledge, we don't know. He's an everlasting force. He encompasses everything. He connects us all together. We are all part of him. It, whatever it is. I think it's masculine. It could be feminine, but to me, it's always been masculine.
In reality, he doesn't have, because that doesn't exist.
Right. I mean, it's to my knowledge, he is everything. He is the essence that everything is created out of.
He's the creator of everything that is. There is nothing without him.
So this is where the Bible gets it wrong. The Bible says he created us in his image. Well, okay, a God, little g God, a advanced species, genetically manipulated, two species, spliced them together and created our avatars. in their image. Well, to me, that is an advanced species doing this. I mean, we just had, back to the whole toward field, we just had, 5 years ago, a scientist download a virus and send it through a telephone and from America to Europe. And in Europe, they downloaded that audio signal and recreated that virus there. They just, if you want to look at it, they just became God because they created something out of nothing. Okay, so, when you look at, I love the Bible. The Bible's got some amazing stories in it, and the prophecies and the mathematician. I mean, when they created the Bible, they were beyond an intellect that I haven't seen in my existence outside of Tesla. Okay, these mathematical geniuses created this Bible, and there's a lot of very important information in that Bible, but there's a lot of disinformation in that Bible as well.
There's interpretations of what the reality might be, and remember, they're always talking to different people in different times. I mean, Jesus had to talk in parables so that people 2,000 years later would be able to understand the messages. Yes, there's some different disinformation. There's also stuff that's being chosen and 300 AC, AD, whatever, Anno Domini. I'm still on the old way of looking at things, whatever.
Yeah, I never got a hold of the before common era.
BCE or BC, the common era, and God knows what the fuck they're doing. But the thing is that the things that he was talking, like the mustard seed. Oh, it's been found the mustard seed isn't the smallest seed. Whatever. It was the smallest seed back then.
Right.
People would understand that it would be a huge tree because that is what faith represents. It's not that, it wasn't the smallest mustard seed. Quit picking at it.
Right.
The words themselves are deep and meaningful, and it's this deeper understanding of.
There's tremendous prophecy in it as well.
The red words.
Right.
I think our timelines have been deceptive. I think we've been here a lot longer than they let us lead on. I think we've grown since we've been here, but I definitely believe that we have been here a lot longer than 2,000 years.
Oh God, yes. The human species has been here 250,000 years.
Yeah.
No, fuck
Yeah.
no. I mean, we've been here
Our
longer.
history goes back.
Anthropology.
Okay, so here's the mind blower. Our written history, our world history, whatever you can find, the oldest thing you can find is 6,000 to 12,000 years.
Yeah, because that's the last phase of human society.
What happened to the 230,000 years before that?
They're 25,000 year cycles, and so we've had 5 cycles according to the Mayan text that have been before that. So yeah, we've got the Atlanteans, which is what dropped me into all this shit when I was 7 years old, and then we've got Lemuria and Mu, which were before that. Lemuria before Atlantis, and then Mu before that, and so that would be 3. And the Mayans said we're on the 5th, so that means that there's another cycle before that I don't even fucking know about.
Well, don't forget, we're not just in the smaller cycle, we're also in the grand cycle. There's always a time when cycles come in conjunction with one another where they touch.
In 2012 is when all those, even the grand cycle, came into conjunction, not just a 25,000 year cycle, but the 125,000. I mean, all those fucking cycles came together in 2012, which is why the Looking Glass wasn't able to see beyond 2012. Why the yellow cube was limited in what it could actually predict. Why? Because everything fucking changed in 2012.
Okay.
Why?
All right, so let's set up. All right, so talking about that, you want to get back to the 369, the toward fields, and why. Oh, Lord. Okay, so what's amazing about when you understand that these frequencies, these dimensional frequencies are shifting. They're collapsing in on one another. Yes. So you have 25 hertz and 26 hertz, and then they're vibrating, and now they're both vibrating at 25 and a half hertz. Okay? 2 dimensions just collided with one another, and it's not that big of a deal. But the problem is we're getting a lot of these different dimensions are conjoined.
What do you mean it's not a big deal? We've got interference patterns from different dimensions. I mean, even though the resonances become, you said,
I'm saying one isn't a big deal. One is not a big deal when it happens to one. But what I'm trying to say is we are at the point where it's cascading. You have dimension after dimension after dimension after dimension colliding.
They're all falling into each other.
Yeah,
Right.
I see exactly what he means.
So we call it the
I'm trying to
Mandela.
follow along. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to follow along.
Normally when I break this down, I build up to it, but I'm trying to get there. So
No worries, Carl. We got you.
so I kind of jumped ahead on that one, but
I
ultimately,
asked her to, and that's my bad. I apologize. Continue. However, just one instant. Júnior, onde que você está? Porque agora nós estamos falando sobre as múltiplas gerações humanas, que não estamos aqui há 6.000 anos, nem 12.000 anos. Ele está falando de 250.000 anos e estávamos alegando de diversas sociedades que existiram antes da humanidade atual. Né? Então, só queria atualizar você mais ou menos nesse aspecto do que nós estamos debatendo e dialogando neste instante. Tudo bem? Ou ainda está perdidinho?
does he have any questions at this point? Because I've bounced around so much and I've covered quite a bit of information, and I've been studying for years, decades.
We all have. I've been studying this shit now for 3 decades, and I'm sure Mud Rabbit's got me beat on that because the information that she has makes mine look like fucking snowflakes. Yes, that's basically what my channel is about, is a deeper understanding of what reality is, and for us, how we can interact with it and make our lives better, knowing what everything is, and having a real understanding of what it is and how we can actually make our individual lives better, knowing that resonance. That's the essence of my book. The universe.
Well, this is some of that information that helps with that, and I am 100% with you, Carl. You haven't lost me.
Love you, Mud Rabbit. Okay. Well,
we've been enjoying the trip down all these things, which in reality, for me and some of others, it doesn't come as a big surprise. It just fortifies what I already understand and know. So it's added information, but yeah, the resonance is here, man. We're all in the same sync. We're all in sync. We all understand. My main thing in my book and in my channels and everything else is how can we make that knowledge? Because I am the king of useless information. I'm no shit that nobody needs to fucking know and nobody's interested in knowing. But how do I bring in? My dad always used to tell me, "Oh, you're a professional student." Evidently, I am. Now, how do we bring that? And I got other people that always tell me, for example, in my book, yeah, all that shit. How do I pay my bills tomorrow with that fucking information? And so I always have to bring it down to the real, to the how our lives can improve having this information. Now, a lot of the devolution information, everything else is preparation for us to not be shocked and surprised by the shit that's already going on that most people have no fucking clue that's going on. You dig even deeper, you're going into what I originally pick up on my book is the multidimensional quantum, the quantum multiverse.
Right. It's
quantum multiverse and the realities that we create upon that. But it all gets down to how do I treat somebody tomorrow that pisses me off or does something wrong, and how do I make all that information useful to me to make my personal life better tomorrow? And that's usually been my focus, because otherwise people don't take my shit seriously unless it's got something to do with what they do.
All these stories I'm telling are validating one ultimate synopsis step. You have been lied to about everything. Okay? Not just a little, you're not just lied to about your history. You're not lied to about your economics.
Everything. About matter itself.
Right.
Because even Tesla told us that matter is matter. It's energy.
Right.
One of the things that I put in my book.
It's sound. Because how does a speaker work? Oh, well, not like, let's do it like this. So sound creates magnetic waves. Magnetic waves create electric waves. Electricity.
Hold on. I understand magnetism creating electricity. That's basic.
But
how does sound create magnetic waves? I lost you there.
Because sound is energy, frequency, and vibration.
True. Yes.
Okay. Everything in this universe,
magnetic waves.
right? Just you have to study just the basics of Tesla. Everything in this universe is energy, frequency, and vibration. The only thing
that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because whenever they asked Einstein how he felt about being the most intelligent man in the world back in 1913, he said, "I don't know. You'd have to ask Nikola Tesla."
Yes, sir.
At that point, they went to Nikola Tesla and they said, "What do you think about Einstein's equation E equals mc squared?" And Nikola Tesla said, "Yeah, it's a pretty nice equation. The only problem is that he thinks that energy is the unknown, when in reality, matter is the great unknown." So I took that equation, E equals mc squared, and transliterated it. I made M equals E divided by C squared. Which would be the description of what matter is. Matter is energy slowed down. And that's what I try and explain in my book and everything else. I use that as a basis of what matter is, because matter doesn't actually exist. The things that we see as matter are resonances and interference patterns. It's not actually matter.
Matter is resonance. You were really close. You were really close. See, before while I was discovering this, I learned about resonant frequencies. Okay? Simple. This shirt and your clothing, the only reason it can sit on your body, on your skin, is because it resonates at a different frequency. If it resonated at the same frequency, it would become your skin or fall right through you. Okay? So wait a minute. If we condense a frequency. We've got frequency generators all the time. We can slow and speed up sound waves all day long.
We saw the Hutchinson effect proved that. The scientist there in Canada that was able to float things using frequencies. The Hutchinson effect is I love that shit.
Well, he was using the concussion of the frequency.
I thought he was actually using the interference patterns of the different frequencies and resonances. He was using the concussion of that?
He was using
a lot fucking easier.
Right.
That's what I was talking about.
Right. So you got to understand these. I wrote out a biography for you, but one of the things I was trying to explain.
You got to send me that. You sent me the condensed version, evidently.
You didn't respond and said you'd like to do it. So I was just like, okay, well.
I'm interested. Send it to me, man. Always good.
All right. So when you're envisioning something, here's part of the brainwashing that we've all been dealt with. If I say, picture yourself holding a rock above a placid lake, a beautiful placid lake with perfectly calm water. And I say, drop that pebble. And you drop the pebble and it hits the water and the water goes down and then the water shoots back up with a few drops of water and then it comes down and then the ripples go away.
The ripples of the universe.
Right. Now you saw that in your mind. Okay. But you only saw that in 2 dimensions. You didn't create a 3-dimensional holographic image in your mind when you saw that.
No, I actually created a 4-dimensional because I had 3 dimensions and time because I had to see it going through time. I didn't create a 2-dimensional ripple on a graph. I actually created an image of a 3-dimensional pond with the waves going on a 3-dimensional pond with the 4th dimension of time showing how those ripples flow out. So yeah, the image that I created in my mind was a 4-dimensional image.
Right, but it was played as a movie, right?
Movies are three-dimensional, yes, because they do have time, and that's one of the things that SETI was talking
Well,
about.
this is what I'm talking about. This is when we create images in our mind, we're still, it's okay, yes, it's three-dimensional, but it's not, it's the flat screen showing you a three-dimensional object is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, and that's what we did in SETI as well. Continue,
All right,
please.
so instead of creating a complete three-dimensional environment where this is taking place, we are taking a flat screen, putting it up there, and then building the three-dimensional image in that flat screen as we perceive it.
Yes, I see that.
Okay. And that's programming. That is, and I think it's a genetic programming that has been done to us. Because we are so powerful, we should be able to quickly create a three-dimensional world in our minds and create this picture. Somebody's talking, and sometimes I think, well, you're just not getting enough data. But I mean, our minds are extremely complicated or complex, and the limit is there is no limit to what we can create in our minds if we have enough data. So, but because we watch, and I always look at it like this: we watch our computer screens, we watch our TV screens, we watch our movie screens, and then when we replay that in our mind, what do? We put up a blank screen, create a three-dimensional image in it, and that's our memory. I don't know why I got on that subject. It just occurred to me because we were talking about resonant frequencies, harmonics, and how what matter is in resonant frequencies. So sorry about that. So
no, that's quite all right.
Oh, don't apologize. I'm listening. I'm fascinated.
All right.
Absolutely.
So sorry. Anyway,
this all clicks with some previous knowledge that I had from years ago. So it all makes incredible sense to me.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry. If I get down the DNA, DNA.
Hey, Carl. Like I tried to tell you on through the various emails and everything else, and there's got to be a more efficient way that I can talk to both of y'all because the emails. I never
gave my phone number, brother.
I never even know if you guys get it or not. But outside of that, yes, the vision that we have of reality is very similar among us. And that's why I said, welcome to the show, Carl, because that's exactly what we talk about. Now, the only thing, like Mud Rabbit, Terry isn't here, and he'd be able to get us into the Akashic Records and other things that, really are the profundation of what it is that we do. But Junior's falling asleep, and I need to get some of this over into the Portuguese and Brazilians. Junior, como você está? Entediado pra cacilda, não entendendo porra nenhuma.
Tentando acompanhar, fazendo umas pesquisas aqui.
Tá, beleza. Estamos falando sobre frequências e a queda de múltiplas dimensões em uma só. Onde nós temos, por exemplo, uma dimensão que pode, teoricamente, estar lá em 250 Hz e outra em 260 Hz. E nesse instante, se juntaram por certas realidades das leis termodinâmicas que afetam tudo, e se juntam na 255, e de repente temos duas dimensões se juntando uma na outra. Tá? O problema não é uma dimensão caindo uma acima da outra, ele está dizendo que tem múltiplas dimensões que estão convergindo neste instante. E todos eles estão criando um certo nível de caos na realidade que nós temos atual. Então, isso termina sendo uma situação frenética atual. Depois nós entramos dentro do que é matéria, que ele está alegando que tudo isso são frequências e ressonâncias. Por exemplo, ele mencionou que a camisa dele, a razão que a camisa não se integra ao corpo, porque tem uma ressonância diferente que do corpo. Isso que faz nós perceber o que seria matéria e a realidade. E a convergência de diferentes frequências é uma coisa que está acontecendo hoje e nós temos que entender e estamos chegando a um entender mais profundo do que é matéria, que é
Por
simplesmente
isso mesmo que
a
você fez
inteligência.
referência ao teu livro, né, Miguel? Porque é uma matéria que você costuma falar bastante.
Yeah, he's saying that it's right along with what I'm writing about in my book and the things that I usually talk about constantly. I was talking about the resonance factors and the fact that crows resonate at a different resonance frequency from our body, and that's why they don't integrate to us. It's an understanding of what matter is. So that's as far as I got in the translations at that point, more or less, to get him to where we are now, and other listeners in Brazil or the Portuguese listening language, or even Spanish, because it's not that difficult to understand. I noticed that Mud Rabbit recognized a few phrases there as well, so that works as well. Portuguese isn't that different from Spanish, and it's all good. Later on, I'll have people.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mud Rabbit.
Carl, that you understand this 369 sequence, how do you apply it in your life? Can you give us some examples?
Back to what Michael was trying to say is how do we take this knowledge and manifest a better future for ourselves? All right. Well, first of all, you have to understand that magic and spells are okay. So it goes back to your voice. When you expel oxygen past your larynx, that vibration is a holy harmonic frequency. Okay? When you speak things into existence through intent. So when you say, I love you all of my heart, and you intend it, and you radiate that energy, but you speak it, other people truly feel what you're trying to say.
The levels of it. You have thought, you have voice, you have physical action. And all those are levels of energy that you are interacting with the universe. And the voice is powerful energy because you can actually induce others to do action. And that's where those levels of energy and resonance actually affect.
Well, so it very much has a lot to do with staying in the positive and being forgiving and tolerant. And not in the way they try to make it today.
Number one rule, number one understanding. You manifest your reality with your words and with your thoughts.
Yep.
So
sure do.
When somebody angers you, don't say what's on your mind.
No.
Say the opposite.
Do not act on your anger ever. That's the whole fucking point. You're
a toward
evil is within you. Do not externalize that evil. That is the whole focus of what we're supposed to do. We have lots of shit that we could do to fucking everybody. We choose not to do it. We reserve it inside. We do not externalize that evil.
All right. So this is how it works. It's a toward field. Okay. What you project from your heart and your soul out through your voice goes out into the world and into the universe. And then what does it do? It comes right back to you. So when you say fuck you in a really bad tone to somebody, well, guess what? Give it a few minutes. It's going to come back and somebody's going to slap you in the back of the head. And you
Absolutely.
just got so.
And actually, the Bible actually describes it as it comes back 100-fold. Everything that you put in, because Jesus actually described that whenever you're giving, it will come back to you 100-fold. But at the same time, whenever you're doing damage, it will also come back to you 100-fold. And we're seeing this with Ghislaine Maxwell just taking too fucking long.
Yes, in our lifetimes, and when you get in. Okay, so let's just stick on manifesting our own reality.
There we go. That's the subject of my book. Manifest your reality.
So since everything's a toward field, and when you create. When you speak, you're projecting these toward fields out. And it touches another toward field, which touches another toward field, which touches the toward field that we're all in. and they're intersecting dimensions. You know, okay, it's so much to talk about when you get into these overlapping toward fields, because they all these dimensions bleed into each other because they're overlapping. When we measure a frequency, when we measure a toward field, sound wave, we are only measuring the median of that frequency. Okay, and that median tells us it goes, look, let me bring the camera there, it goes this way, and then it comes up and down, and this is the frequency. But there are 360 degrees of frequencies and variations all doing this at the same time. And along this pattern that's going like this, you have this, and then a whole bunch of others doing this identical to it, but they're variants. When we go from one dimension to another, it's, you know, here's how you understand dimensions. So have you ever placed something in a spot where only you knew where it was, where only you could get to it, and you went to sleep, came back, and it's no longer there?
Yep.
Well,
That pisses me off to no end.
but what you don't realize, well, what you need to realize is that after you set that down, sometime between when you set it down and when you needed it, you changed dimensions. And the version of you that you entered doesn't have the same emotional or influence on that object. So they put it somewhere else.
You didn't have an interaction in that particular
Right,
dimension. Holy
right.
shit. All right. So that explains a lot about the deja vus and Mandela effect and all that kind
Which
of
is
shit.
what I was trying to get into on the Mandela effect. It's these clashing, it's these colliding dimensions. There's enough people. See, you got to understand, most of us that are listening and watching the show and that are awake, we are from a much higher dimension than the other people that are existing right now with us that aren't watching.
And that is a level of patience that we need to get to, because lots of people don't understand the resonance where we're at, and they don't recognize it, they don't feel it, or even.
I don't think it's something you can tell somebody about if they don't fully understand the concept, but I understand what he means. In other words, be kind means more than you realize.
But it's kind of like the 17th letter of the alphabet, Mud Rabbit. It's you have to show them. You can't tell them.
Exactly. And in the meantime, we can't go around being angry at people because they didn't listen to us at the time. We have to act
That's
towards them
controlling.
with compassion.
We cannot control. We can only influence, and that's one of the bases of my book. Why? Because the thing is this. It's not chapter 1, but it is the focus of my book. In that, what we do, we control ourselves. We have control over ourselves, or at least we have to gain control over ourselves. Period. Because others have programming and influences and everything else over us. We have to gain control over ourselves. Make ourselves sustainable, fed. We reach our red levels and we go up to orange. We go up to our yellow levels, which is affecting society, family, groups, friends, everything else, fortifying those levels.
Michael, what are these colors you're talking about?
Actually, I'm referencing the Maslow pyramid. Others have mentioned that they also coincide with the chakras.
Okay, gotcha.
Leo's, people actually, but I don't. The origin for my color levels is the Maslow pyramid, which is 1931, which described. I learned about it in administration classes and everything else here in Brazil. That it's later on I studied a lot more about it because I liked it. It was about the hierarchical levels of what you would consider as motivation. People are motivated as fuck to get their red level. You will kill somebody to eat. You will do whatever you need for a roof over your fucking head. You will need your basic things for survival. People will do whatever they need to survive. Red base fucking level. Then you get into an orange level, and I always forget about the orange because that's a transition. I like.
I can perceive the rest of it at that point. So
Then we got orange level. Then we got yellow level, which is society, friends, and being able to build up and fortify those around you. So what happens is you fortify yourself so that you can influence and fortify and help others. You do not control
If it comes to the chakras, not everybody is resonating in the same chakra.
You try and elevate the resonance of those people so that they can reach those yellow, green, and blue levels, which blue is self-realization. It's what your ultimate destiny is. You find that the Japanese culture cultivates that. Their ultimate focus is to be able to find why they're here, the reason, the raison d'être, that type of thing. So yeah, that's our blue level. And personally, I think my book is that one because that's the ultimate and what I'll be able to help people do. Beyond that, I can't do much more. Other than material things, which are insignificant and irrelevant to the time realizations that we have. Hold on. Júnior, onde que eu te deixei, onde que você está, porque só perto da sua entediado também, porque já dá 1h30.
Eu estou acompanhando, Miguel. Eu poderia falar que às vezes é difícil a gente manter a nossa frequência positiva com tanta gente idiota à nossa volta, né?
Tem isso mesmo. E estava falando sobre o meu livro, que tu já conhece muito bem, porque há 2 anos eu estou falando sobre aquele puto livro, e algum dia vai sair, com certeza. Então, mais ou menos por aí que estamos falando. All right, so he was getting into the frequencies and how we all interact with that, and I was explaining to Maxwell, but I don't have to explain that to him. It's part of my book. I've been telling him about my book for 2 fucking years. So yeah, he's completely learned in the things that are the vision that I have of what reality is and what we want to prove.
So I got a really cool story that you'll want to tell him here in just a second.
All right, so all right. Ele tem uma história muito legal que ele vai querer contar para você. Então vai ser em partes e eu vou traduzir indo para você. Show? Beleza. Yeah, give it to me in parts so I can break it down and translate it. Go ahead, Carl.
All right. So you're aware of, you were talking about Einstein, Nikola Tesla. What you didn't talk about is the Philadelphia experiment. Okay? Is everybody aware of the Philadelphia experiment?
Todo mundo tu conhece o experimento Filadélfia?
No, I don't know.
O experimento Filadélfia. Tu tá procurando no Google agora, né?
Não. Pode falar.
Tá. Que é o seguinte, that was in 45 or 50, or when was Philadelphia experiment?
I don't know. 46, I think.
Huh?
46, I think.
Somewhere around. All right. Mais ou menos no ano 1946, houve uma experiência onde eles tentaram criar, não necessariamente uma máquina do tempo, mas uma máquina que eles achavam que era para invisibilidade. Porque dentro dos estudos de Tesla, descobriram que as coisas podiam desaparecer, mas o que eles não entendiam é que eles mudavam dimensões e tempo, e por isso que eles desapareciam. Mas eles queriam uma coisa de clonagem para poder chegar mais próximo ao adversário clonado, desaparecido, e poder reaparecer e atingir o adversário. Esse foi o entender militar deles. Agora, em 1946, eles tentaram essa experiência, tentando fazer. O que eles não entenderam é que eles mudaram de dimensões e tempo. Então, quando o barco voltou à dimensão atual, muitas pessoas se encontraram presos no meio da parede de aço. Por exemplo, imagina um barco. Um barco passa por uma masmorra quântica de probabilidades e tudo se mistura. E depois se define novamente dentro de um específico tempo ou dimensão. E nesse instante, tu estava indo entre um quarto e outro, porque, pode, por que não? E nesse instante voltaram. Aí tinha pessoas que morreram porque estavam seu corpo preso na parede de aço. Tá? Aí onde eles descobriram Philadelphia Experiment, ou experiência de Filadélfia, que realmente dá para ir em diferentes dimensões, diferentes tempos, e essas viagens são perigosas e tem que ter muito cuidado. I explained Philadelphia experiment to him, so please continue.
So anyway, what's amazing about the Philadelphia experiment is, they said, the cover story is they want to create a cloak of invisibility.
Yeah, I translated that as well.
Well, they use Tesla's technology, and
which isn't a cloaking device; it's a time travel, dimensional travel device.
Ah, there you go. It's a dimensional travel,
and so you get into this
all about the resonant frequency.
It's what I was explaining to him. You get into a quantum swamp to where everything's the same, and so you're moving from one room to the other because it's all the same fucking shit. And in that instant, you're coming back to this dimension, and you're stuck in the middle of a steel fucking wall. And you die because you're stuck in a steel fucking wall in a three-dimensional dimension when you were walking around in a quantum multiverse of probabilities created by the Nikola Tesla experiment. They thought they were creating a cloaking device, but what they discovered is they were creating a time travel device, and then they took a lot more care from that point forward. That's what I translated, and that's from.
And see, you're really close.
Translate the next part.
But you're really close but you got to understand. There's no such thing as time travel. What you have to understand is these dimensions are, like I said, they're all happening at the same time.
All right,
so
I'm going to translate.
Hold
on to that thought. 1 second, Carl. Ele queria dizer que eu estou próximo, mas não estou bem ali, porque não é mudança de tempo, porque todos os tempos acontecem ao mesmo tempo. Então, uma mudança de dimensão que eles estavam fazendo e não uma mudança de tempo, porque todos os tempos acontecem ao mesmo tempo. Isso que ele está explicando agora. Continuarei. Go ahead, Carl. Thank you very much.
No worries. All right. So what they did is they created a massive torque field around the ship, and they accelerated it. And all the dimensions in that particular space collided, just like what's happening right now.
All the fucking probabilities became real.
Yeah, all dimensions collapsed in that exact same spot. So but you have to understand that, for each frequency, there's a different dimension. So it wasn't just one ship creating this torque field around this field, the
thousands or millions of ships creating the same
doing it at the exact same time. And the variants were, when all of this collapsed, and when they eventually, once it all collapsed, like I said, this is where it gets confusing, because I don't know what happened once they created singularity.
I'm going to translate this and give you an instant. And is that a Rottweiler? And you have a glow-in-the-dark collar? Is that it?
Yeah, Doberman Pinschers.
Doberman.
LED.
Oh, beautiful fucking collar, beautiful fucking dog. I had a neighbor that have a Doberman. Be careful. After a while, their brain grows larger than their skull. And I had my neighbor had his Doberman, which is a beautiful thing, turn on his owner. Be very careful. I love Dobermans, but be careful when they get old. Let me translate what I can remember. What do I?
The singularity. All these dimensions, all of it happening at the same time. Thousands of ships creating a torque field, and they all collapsed in on each other, creating a singularity, which means that all dimensions in that one space came to a single tiny point.
Perfect. All right. Júnior, o experimento da Filadélfia, o que ele estava falando, que eles criaram campo de torque, torque field, campo de torque que termina sendo o campo magnético, o eletromagnético, em volta do barco inteiro. E o que ele está explicando é que eles não mudaram de dimensão temporal. O que aconteceu? Que todas essas probabilidades quânticas de todos os diferentes navios nos diferentes tempos e espectro quântico terminaram convergendo e fazendo exatamente a mesma experiência ao mesmo tempo. Então, milhares de dimensões e tempos terminaram colidindo em um único espaço, como um buraco negro. Tá? Todos aqueles campos temporais terminaram concentrando em um evento. Não foi um barco que fez, Foram milhares de barcos que fizeram a mesma coisa e terminaram criando uma realidade quântica, onde todas as probabilidades viraram reais nesse instante, porque todas as dimensões colapsaram em um único ponto singular, uma singularidade. All right, so we got the Philadelphia experiment, everything breaking down into a singularity of the torus field of multiple thousands of ships that did the exact same thing. Continue, please.
Now, what's interesting is there were outliers. There were Philadelphia experiments that were trying to do this at the same, like I said, in these different dimensions, but they weren't. When they set it up, something was different. So you had one ship appear in 1985 from 1946, wow. And then another one appeared. It hasn't appeared yet. It'll appear in 2036, I think.
Holy shit! All right.
So it hasn't appeared yet. We'll eventually catch up to it. So these are the two known outliers. Well, one known outlier, one rumored outlier. But when they shut it down, you had like you were explaining, since there were so many variations going on at the exact same time. When they canceled it, the physical bodies of the people were displaced, and they didn't end up back in the same dimension. So they got stuck in the walls and in the floors and whatnot. And, because, they all vibrated at the exact same frequency, all matter, what we consider as matter, hit that exact same resonant frequency. Basically, their shoes, their clothing just went right through the floors. And then once the resonant frequencies broke apart, well, then they became stuck. So, that's a real life example of what matter is. We are nothing but tight-knit group of resonant frequencies, torque fields. We are all sound. And as long as our sound waves within our body, within physical matter, maintains. I mean, this is what people don't understand. Earthquakes is not tectonic plates pushing on each other. Earthquakes is the resonant frequency of the earth changing, and the ground becomes basically liquefied. It starts vibrating like an ocean.
Okay.
And then it settles down. That's why it's always in a circle going out.
Yep. All right, hold on. Junior's got a question. Junior, fala.
Esses experimentos me fez até lembrar um filme, Miguel.
Qual filme?
Aquele com Christian Bale, que faz o Batman, e o que faz o Wolverine, um grande truque.
Christian Bale. He's reminded of a movie from Christian Bale that did Batman and
yes, I know. Right? I know the movie.
Onde eles acabam duplicando a pessoa, né? E cada vez que ele duplica, ele tem que matar o...
They ended up duplicating a person, and every time they duplicated somebody, they had to kill him off. Was the movie.
Yes. Well, yeah, duplication. He was summoning them from a different dimension.
Ele estava puxando diferentes dimensões, por isso que eles estavam vindo. There was also a movie, The One, that did the same thing. It was a Chinese movie where the guy had to kill off his self in different dimensions, and he became more powerful with each one that he destroyed.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Tem outro filme. Hold on. Tem outro filme onde um chinês ou japonês ou alguma coisa estava indo para diferentes dimensões para matar ele mesmo nessas outras dimensões, porque cada vez que ele matava ele mesmo, ele ficava mais poderoso e potente na dimensão onde ele estava. Então ele matava os outros avatares dele mesmo, os mais fracos, para ele mesmo ser mais forte. E ele, sim, isso tem uma realidade muito pertinente.
Aí eu pergunto, o que você faria se você encontrasse uma variação sua?
All right, so his question is, what would you do if you found a variation of yourself? If you found you.
High five that motherfucker. Hey! Nice to meet you.
They both conhecer. Drink a beer together, that's what he says.
It's you. I mean, one thing I was talking about, well, let's see, trying to not go off subject, but
No worries, Carl. We're already off subject. So you are the subject. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, but it's the we all like time travel, and and I love the Tesla, with him bringing in all these duplicates, thinking he's bringing in a different. Well, he's bringing a different version of him from a different dimension, but he doesn't know it's a different dimension. He thinks it's just a copy. But he doesn't realize is he's doing the exact same experiment over and over and over again.
Multiple dimensions, exactly, because there are multiple quantum variations of himself. There are statistical variations to where the probability is there are going to be thousands or millions of him doing the same thing, because the probability of him doing that was so great. And so they all come together.
Just think of this. How many versions of us are right now having this exact same conversation?
Right
now.
Uma pergunta para você, Júnior. Quantas versões de nós estão neste instante tendo a mesma conversa que nós estamos tendo? Só uma ponderação para atualmente, o que ele queria...
Não faço ideia, Miguel. Existe uma probabilidade?
There's a probability for that, he says.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
Tem muitos. Tem muitos de você tendo esta mesma conversa neste instante em diferentes dimensões, porque as divergências metafísicas são tão pequenas que a probabilidade é praticamente a mesma da atividade. Isso é a multiplicidade do universo.
But there's a lot of versions of this conversation where I'm not part of, because you didn't send the email that I've been waiting on all day.
Oh, I did send you an email, but you didn't pick it up. And I was freaking out because my whole day today was about you, Carl. I mean, holy shit, I've been waiting for all week.
Good morning.
I'm glad you made it, Carl.
Good
Absolutely.
morning, Carl. Yes, I want you on the show today. I'll send you a link around 7 Eastern time so we can go over to coordinate before we go live. That was the last email I got from you. So
I sent you the link on the same. Actually, you need to check your spam because Mud Rabbit found me on her spam as well. Pena Perspective evidently isn't at protonmail.com. Evidently isn't in the main folder, which was where I was sending it from. And so I was getting...
Damn it. Yep, there it is.
Mine went to junk as well.
Exactly. So, like, this is episode...
Like I said, there are versions of me that didn't check YouTube to see that you were live. Because I'm like, man, it's 15 minutes into the show. I should have gotten that email by now. Let me just check. So, but there are versions of me that are still waiting for that email.
Well, to be yes, you're absolutely right, and there are versions of you that didn't even receive the email because one, the server didn't get it, two, it was in your spam or whatever the fuck. There are innumerable versions, but what I try and teach everybody is that this particular multiverse that we chose, this is the reality that is. Take advantage of it to the most. So we were able to get you on tonight. Yes, we are trying to straighten those communication ties to make sure that things like this don't. This is episode 3, and this is fine. And like I said, welcome aboard, because
you're doing fine, Michael.
That's right.
Oh, so you want me back? Is what you're trying to say?
No. This is the only fucking time I'm going to have your ass on, Carl. What the fuck do you think? You're part of this goddamn broadcast, bitch. What the fuck?
All right, as long as the puppies get to be involved, I guess.
Oh, we love the puppies.
Yes.
I used to have a Doberman.
That's the whole thing about my Thursdays on Jacob's channel. You know, it's higher dimensions and higher understandings of reality. And that's what I'm always about. And that's what I'm searching for. And that's why I brought Mud Rabbit on. That's why I did Tuesdays, because she's got a lot of stuff on Devolution and Q. She follows me along with all that stuff. But you know what? I mean, Carl, welcome the fuck aboard, because that is exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're trying to get people to understand. And in that version of reality to where we can understand all this shit is just a fucking show. Take care of you and be a good resonance on others. You know, instead of focusing on all the big shit that consumes my fucking brain, it's just being a nice human being to the person that's next to you, so that resonance feeds off. That is
Well,
know
you
what
have
the
to feel it
hardest-
too.
Do you know what the
Yeah,
hardest
what?
thing in this world to do? The hardest thing in this world to do is love yourself,
Yes.
because we are programmed from birth to not to.
Yep.
Our
Yep.
We are
parents,
defensive, we are destructive, we are vengeful, we are spiteful, we're hateful, we're angry.
it's not
And
about that. It's we don't think we're good enough. And, and unfortunately, most of us have extremely selfish parents that don't remember or understand what it is to be a child. So the little things
that's what I've
get,
been fighting against my entire life. Hold on, I gotta get that book to show y'all. I had that conversation last one today. Because I learned that shit. Because I was my whole focus, my whole intention, the entire reason I have this house, I have this reality is my two boys. Period. The end. This book right here. Holy shit, that doesn't
can't
show.
see it.
There
There
you
it
go.
is.
Einstein never used flashcards.
Ah,
This is a book that I've been referencing on Jacob's channel repeatedly because it tells you about the phases that the human mind goes through when it develops its conception of what reality is, what love is, what people are, what people that love you do. And so we
What right
learn
and
those
wrong is.
behaviors from others
Yeah.
because that is our concept of what reality is. And after a while, we start creating our own reality, and that's when they're teenagers, and mine are at that level now, to where they've gone past the teenage years to where they find all the shit that they don't like, and that's the rough ones for everyone because they point out all the defects that their parents have. Because it's the things that they don't like that they don't want to repeat. And that's excellent. And that's part of what that entire book teaches. And I read the whole fucking thing before I even had my first one because he came in my wife's dream and told us what his name was because his name was supposed to be something else. But see, I'm into all this shit. And so I know that when he came, he told us what his name is, which is why he's Tiago. Because he told us what his name was before he was born. I knew he was a boy. My wife said, but you don't know. The tests haven't come back. He came to you and told you who he was. I don't give a fuck what the tests say. He already told me what he was.
I had my son's name 3 years before he was conceived.
That's fucking impressive, mother. Now that is a connection.
after my daughter,
You were meant to have him. Absolutely.
after my daughter was born, I saw a name on the license plate that I liked.
There are different resonances on different levels, and everybody gets those. Júnior, eu não sei onde te explicar onde nós estamos, porque nós divergimos para tantos diferentes lugares que eu nem sei falando em nomes de filhos e ressonâncias e pessoas escolhendo suas realidades, multiversos quânticos e todas as probabilidades destino que existem. E esse é mais ou menos o meio da conversa. Tem alguma pergunta específica que tu gostaria de poder fazer para poder enfocar isto um pouco mais?
Não, talvez eu gostaria de mostrar um livro também, já que você mostrou um.
Qual nível?
But
Não entendi. He was talking about going down a level. I'm still trying to figure out what he meant. Because maybe we're just a bit beyond where he is, maybe. And
So
that's a probability because we've been
okay. Mãos de luz.
Mãos de luz. That's hands of light. Is a translation of that. And so he's talking about basically how the resonance. That's a book of spiritualism, spiritistas, né? Seu livro Tua Mãe do Espiritismo.
Esse aqui é uma cientista da NASA, né, que escreveu esse livro.
Oh, that was actually a NASA scientist that wrote that book, The Hands of Light.
Okay.
Okay. So it's I was very constrained in my reality when I was in Mexico and the United States, even though I lived in two different cultures at the same time, and I found the programming that was involved in each one of those cultures, and I tried to create my own. It allowed me to recognize, therefore not immediately accept as real. However, there were many things like Heiki, laying on of hands, acupuncture, acupressure. Acupuncture and acupressure I studied when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, try and figure out what Asian cultures were doing, and I actually like those things for the beneficial concepts. But when I got down here to Brazil, they had lots of different things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with within my Orthodox Christianity. And so I had to open my mindset to different possibilities, probabilities. Two of my best friends are spiritists, which are Christians that believe in speaking to spirits. And so it's another.
That's dangerous.
It,
I mean,
it
Very
is.
dangerous.
Eu estou tentando explicar espiritismo, isso de Allan Kardec, né? O espiritista brasileiro.
Não tem nada a ver com isso.
Torfield,
Okay. He's saying that book has nothing to do with spiritism, which is Allan Kardec, which is the Brazilian thing. That book is something completely different. And he's correcting me on that. And I need to accept that. And that's true. You said there was a danger, Carl.
So, okay, well, we'll start with the biggest problem with parents is and in fact, our entire society is built on lack of communication. What's the number one problem in every marriage? Communication. What's the problem with every family relationship? Communication. And the reason is because society our masters prevent us from learning what is proper. And the shit that they teach you is crap. It goes against yourself. It goes against your spirit. It goes against your biological being. We have so many levels of communication. It's insane. Okay. You start with just being quiet. I can feel all of your energy through the TV. If we're close together, I can smell your pheromones. I can smell whether you're happy or sad or angry.
You feel it in your bones.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You can feel these things. And then most communication between parent and child is telepathic. Okay. But if the parent is closed off and never learned, and the child is bombarding the parent over and over with all these messages, the parent just goes nuts and wants to pull out his hair because she can't translate the information. Most of us never learned to translate. To this day, I'm still like, what the fuck was that?
No, but that's the thing that I recognize with my parents, and I recognize with the things that my grandparents do. I started recognizing cycles that multiple generations had problems with their future generations. And I recognized that as a kid, and I didn't want to do that with mine. I've got my own fucking problems, and my kids have all kinds of complaints that they have about my parenting. And they're legitimate. I have to take those into consideration. But I tried to reduce the problems that other generations had with not understanding or not respecting the individuality of the entity which they were creating. The person we're creating isn't a mini-me, even though he looks like and he sounds like and he acts like me. He's not a mini-me. He is him. And he is another reality, and he is another essence. And so I always went down to their level to be able to talk to them because they're not a mini-me. I can't control their lives. I can only, through knowledge, influence their lives to be better human beings.
Because of your direct genetic lineage and their mannerisms.
They are mini-me's. They are copies. I can smell my grandfather's smell on my kid's hair.
You know what you
my
like.
Grandfather and my kid.
All right, but you know what you like, and you know what you don't like. So knowing those things, it makes the communication barrier easier. That's it.
I also know not just what I like and don't like, but what is actually good, beneficial, or dangerous. Because I had many people in adults in my life that always told me about the bad things about shit, but they never told me about why people actually do all that bad shit. So I went into all kinds of fucking experiments. I mean, I am my own psychological experiment on fucking everything. I can't fuck around with anybody else's life, so I've fucked around with mine enough for multiple generations. However, the thing that we need to take out, what is actually beneficial, what you can continue to do over a long term, that will be destructive or beneficial to your long term. And so those things I extracted from that. There are things that I stopped because I knew I liked them too much, but they were extremely dangerous and destructive to my personal reality. So I decided that I had to stop doing those things.
I think we've all been through those dimensions, if you will, of self-abuse, of doing things that aren't good for us, taking the wrong path now and again.
Learning from that and helping others
Yeah.
not take the same path.
So you asked why is it dangerous? So first of all, you have to understand that first, our souls are extremely powerful. Our soul is a torrid field, a
Yes.
giant, extremely powerful torrid field that is influencing all these dimensions simultaneously. We are inhabiting, millions, or I don't know, however many dimensions are that there's a version of us in. We're inhabiting an avatar.
So we influence each other.
Right. So, and there's a lot of us. There's a lot of souls out there. But anyway, there are malevolent and benevolent beings out there that are constantly bombarding us with thoughts, ideas, influence our dreams, they influence our reality, but mainly our thoughts. How many times a day do you have a thought that would harm you or somebody else, or that is just not of your nature? Most of us experience this several times a day. Do we ever act on them? No, because it's against our nature. But no one ever asks, where does that thought come from? All right? You are being influenced constantly by these malevolent and benevolent entities.
Yes.
They guide you. So when you focus,
but that's why it always says you have to discern the spirits that you're talking to.
But
you just have to recognize when this energy enters your head and ward it off. But the thing is, people just aren't aware of it. They let it in and they let it run rampant.
Oh yeah, but the other thing is these evil entities, they're like Satan. They'll pretend. They'll show up looking like an angel as a bright white ball of energy. Oh, yep. I'm here to help. What is your greatest desire? Let me fill your wildest dream. Let me feed from you. They start off they look holy and spiritual. Holy and beneficial, but you can quickly tell that they're trying to get something out of you, or they'll manipulate you and try to curb your morality to a point. So, but then there are entities that are extremely powerful that are looking for any open door. And if you open a door to invite an entity in, they're like a linebacker. They'll knock that other entity out of the way and just try to take possession.
And mess up your life in the interim.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of these cycles we get into. Remember, everything's a torrid field. Whatever goes out comes back around. So when we make choices, a lot of times those choices, if they were the wrong choice, will come back, bite us in the ass, and put us right back in that exact same situation. Yep. And a lot of times it has to do with either, a beneficial spirit trying to correct your line of choices. So, and most people, well, I don't know. I notice that when shit hits the fan and I'm at the bottom of the barrel, it repeats itself. Yes. And I find myself in a similar situation with different people, and I make the similar choice, and then a few months or weeks or years later, I'm back in that same position again. And it's because
we go through cycles, and we need to learn how to break those cycles, because it's also psychological construction. What happens? We go through our life and we learn a certain. All right, there it goes. We learn a certain programming, and through that programming, our subconscious believes that is reality, and it tries to recreate that reality constantly. And so it ends up breaking with what reality actually is, because we have this psychological construct of what we believe reality to be. And the dissonance between those two can be destructive if people aren't aware.
I see what Carl is saying about being wary of things like that, talking to spirits, because there are influences. You have them enter your head hundreds of times through the week, and
Jesus said that the evil lives within us. The problem is us externalizing that. It isn't what we consume, it's what we do that is harmful. Okay, so even though we have the worst impulses and the worst ideas and the worst, fuck, I've gone down some dark fucking rabbit holes. But at the same time, it's what we actually act on, because we have thought, one energy level, which is already a problem. Okay, because that is actually causing or creating a quantum multiverse. The thought itself creates the potentiality of another multiverse. And so the more we control what we actually think, the less probable multiverses we create. Then we have word, how we influence others, what we say, how we make others feel by the things that we externalize. And then we have actions, which are more physical and more powerful than simply the words.
A little bit different than what I was talking about, but you are right. You have to understand our senses. We have the worst sight on the planet almost. We have the worst hearing on the planet. And these resonant frequencies that are all around us, all right, there are entities in our rooms where we're at that we cannot see. Physically,
of course,
we can't
that are parallel to ours and coexist along with ours.
Right. And, we can't even sense their vibrations unless they get too close to us.
If we get close to their vibrations, we can.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is these entities are you have your own, your soul, your mind is a compilation of everything that you have at the core. It's who you are. And then it has all these influences around you. Now, in that set of influences, all you know is what you know. Yep. But a lot of times you have these outside entities telling you to do things that you would never do. It's like, and for me, they always attack me like when I'm running or when I'm in pain. It's like,
that's when you're concentrating. That's when you're open. That's when they're most able to affect you.
Right. But these aren't my, this didn't originate from me. This is outside entities influence my thoughts. They're like, if I just step in that pothole and twist my ankle or break my leg,
yep,
I don't have to run anymore. Are you serious? I would rather run than break my leg. Who the fuck came up with that idea? It wasn't me. I was trying, my goal is to get, finish the run, beat a speed, at least, getting, a 10% of my record. And then I have these thoughts projecting onto me from something else, from outside of me.
And they're not yours.
And
they are not yours, but they're all part of, for example, what Dr. Bruce Lipton used to mention. There are receptors, antennae on the cells themselves that actually resonate our consciousness, which is outside of ourselves, defining things. Now, what other consciousnesses can actually interfere in those things? Therein lies the crux of the question that I have for long been searching for an answer.
But you're still stuck. And I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but you're really stuck in I'll call it the old world programming.
Yep.
All of everything that you've learned to this date is programmed, propagated information based on a lie.
Last millennium.
Okay. So when you're talking about energy and energetic entities, interdimensional entities, these are, they're nothing new. We just have
They've written about an ancient fucking text.
Right. They're toward fields of pure energy that are either cycling on the downside constantly, which are malevolent, they're selfish, they want to feed. Like you said, your red line. They're always at that red line. and they will do whatever they can to get out of that red line. And if it hurts you because it benefits them.
Yep.
Okay, that has nothing to do with how your soul connects to your body.
Yep.
But we do know that it's scientifically proven that your soul weighs like 0.08 grams.
That was in the 1960s. They did that. They weighed people that were dying, and they compared the weight before death and after death, and they weighed the soul to be that quantity. I remember that study. That is so fucked up.
It's not. Well, I mean, it's
They weighed the human soul. I mean, that is fucking bizarre.
That I think it's crazy. But we have to consider that information. So
all information is real, and that's why they say whenever trust is science, trust is science.
Oh.
Yeah, great. Everything is science. So are we going to include
science is
pyramids that are throughout the entire the entire world?
Science has been perverted.
Hold on. Fuck the science. Fuck the science, because they won't teach you about the torrid field. They won't teach you the foundation of all existence. Because if you understand the foundation of all existence, guess what? You won't believe their lies. You'll know that energy is
need them.
You'll be able to build your own life outside of their structured reality. We can build what we need to, like I'm doing here, what I'm doing with Junior. Okay, it's a project that's longevity. I won't be able to enjoy that necessarily. It's for my kids to fucking enjoy. Why? Because it's multi-generational. What I've tried to build here is a reality that will make. For example, my grandfather, who passed away 2 years ago now, God rest his soul. God, I miss him. His family farm is about 125 years old. My family farm. Okay, so whether or not that promulgates or continues depends on those individual family members and everything else. But the structure is there. And that's something that I want to put in. All right, so I've got rooms for them here, but they're going to want to get out and do their own thing. My father allowed me to build what I have here. I want to do the same thing for them. They don't want to live here. They want to live somewhere else. That's fine. That's on them. But they have the option, if they have to, they'll have a place to where they're not living on the fucking street. And they can have a family. They can do their things. And I build that for others, not for my benefit, for others' people's benefit. And that's what life is about, because we are mortal, which means that we build for others to enjoy, because we're not going to be here to enjoy that, because we're going to die, because all of us fucking do.
All right. So my question to you is, if you understand that we are in an existence of overlapping sound waves.
All right.
Okay.
Got that?
Why do we need a telephone?
We shouldn't, because we should be able to communicate telepathically.
Or just
have that,
or just vibrate at a right frequency and have that travel across the world, or build a device that uses the natural resonant frequency of the air.
Okay, so we have that. Whenever we watch, for example, X-Men, and you watch Dr.
Right, Xavier.
Professor X, yeah. And he was in that thing, and he was connecting with the brains around the world and everything else. We should be able to do that naturally. Our pineal gland.
I have two friends that I do that with. I have one friend, if I think of him, it means I'll be hearing from him within 2 weeks. And another friend, when she and I would be in the same room, we didn't even have to talk.
It's that connection.
Yeah.
I've had times when, I'm in Okinawa, Japan, and all of a sudden I develop severe abdominal pain, and to the point where I go to medical, and they're like, "Sorry, there's nothing wrong with you," and I'm like, "Well, what the hell's going on?" And then I get the overwhelming name in my head, and in my heart, and it's a high school friend that we were friends for a few years, but. How am I getting sympathy pains from a friend that's 3,000 miles away?
He might be thinking of you in that moment.
Well, but yeah. Well, I don't know. I broke her heart, So, but
all those residences, they have a connection. And that's the whole fucking point. Whenever people resonate together, we are to build the vibrations of others. Why? We build up our resonance and we influence others around us. And through our influence, we can influence others around those as well.
But my point to this is you're relying, because of your knowledge and your background and your religion, and not the religion you're thinking of mainstream science.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's a bastardization. It's a mutation. Okay. It is Satan's work. This Wi-Fi that we're using, it goes against nature. It goes against the resonant frequency of the earth. All right. We're all using it. Now it's great. I love this. I get to communicate with you guys.
But the 5G is going to fuck us up on a cellular level.
Right. What's fucked up is we don't need all that shit. Okay, what's
the difference between the Wi-Fi that we're using now and the Wi-Fi that Nikola Tesla was developing 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago, 110 years ago?
He was using the resonant frequency of the earth. He stuck a deep pipe deep into the ground into a natural body of water.
All right.
Okay. And then he run that pole all the way up really high, and he wrapped coil wiring or copper wiring all the way around it.
I remember that one. That's one of the differences that I want to generate on electricity here in my house.
So what he did is he basically made a resonant amplifier. So he took the resonant frequency of the earth, which is 7.4 hertz or whatever it's going through now, and it amplified it until 10, 15 square miles around him, the entire earth was electrified to where he could walk out there and just set a light bulb on the ground and it would light up. All right. And using the natural earth resonant frequency, which means we're not forcing anything. We're not, creating.
It's already there. They have the electromagnetic frequency that induces the electric current that can allow us to do the electrical things that we want to do.
Right. And it doesn't take much to create these resonant frequency amplifiers to create wireless Wi-Fi or cell phones or whatever. It's already there.
I watched such an experiment with the pipe, and it caused it to rain.
I'm listening.
They took
well,
the
that's
pipe.
what HARP does.
They took a metal pipe, and it was rather, I'd say about 4 inches round and long. I'd say a good 8 feet long. And they put one end of it in running water and pointed the other end. And after a while, it started to rain.
In running water. All right. Explain that one.
It's something about the energy going through the pipe. I think they called it an orgone, something orgone something.
Okay.
But it worked. They did it in the backyard. It worked.
Até onde que você está? Porque eu te deixei atrasado e muito, porque a conversa foi em múltiplas diferentes.
Eu estou conseguindo acompanhar tudo, Miguel.
Beleza. A última que a Mad Rabbit estava falando sobre uma experiência que eles botaram um cano. It was a tube that they put in the river. Is that it?
It was a metal pipe that they put in running water.
Cano metal que eles botaram em água corrente. Tá? What was the length of that pipe? They could actually create.
I think between 7 and 8 feet.
Mais ou menos 2 metros, quase 3 metros do tamanho do cano. Tá? And they were able to do what with that? 7, 8 feet?
They put one end in running water and held it at an angle toward the sky and created a small rainstorm.
That's awesome.
Eles criaram uma tormenta.
It has a lot to do with
chuva com aquele cano. Eles viraram o cano para uma certa direção, um certo ângulo, e eles conseguiram criar ou induzir uma tormenta de chuva.
Acho que eu vi algo a respeito, Miguel.
He's already heard something similar to that here in Brazil. Yeah, here it rains all the fucking time, so I'm sure they've heard something similar to that.
Did you hear about how they in Norway, I think. Anyway, so you know how you have streams that constantly erode the banks?
Yeah. Streams always change their course, they're eroding. That's why they plant trees and everything else.
They figured they discovered that if they put these large boulders basically at 45-degree angles from each other, one here, one here, one here, and
They
oscillate.
can induce the stream to do what they need it to do because of the interference patterns with the boulder.
Except the stream no longer erodes the banks away. It stays where it's supposed to be. And when you get heavy flows, heavy rain, it doesn't go anywhere.
It does erode, but what it erodes is a stone, which is a lot slower than the sand and dirt that's on the banks. So it's eroding something that's absorbing the energy of the water, and it's very intelligently and engineeringly placed to make sure that it's not taking away dirt and sand, it's taking away stone, which takes a lot fucking longer. I guarantee you that in 15 years, you'll see those stones eroded the fuck away as well.
Of course they'll be eroded because what the water's doing is, when it bends, it wants to bend, it wants to turn, it wants to stay in that toward field or in that vortex. In fact, it creates the vortexes, which lowers the energy of the water going through there. So by that S-shaped pattern of the river versus it going straight, it doesn't erode the banks.
Yeah.
And it reduces the energy, of the water that's going over it. It also
in a straight line is real. It's kind of like a Formula One racers. Whenever they got the pace car out, in order to run at the same speed, they end up doing S's to be able to vertically run at a slower speed, but maintain their physical speed at a higher level, so that when they take that S into a straight line, they are already at a higher speed, and they can start the race as soon as the pace car comes off. So we see that, and I use that in my book as well to try and explain how energy can reduce. Why? Because matter is the deceleration of energy. How does energy decelerate? Well, linearly, vectorally, it's going in one direction. If you change the direction of that energy, then it is decelerated in that certain vector, and mass starts to appear because it's a constant flow that tells you there's something here on a constant basis. That's at least like chapter 3 in my book anyway.
Hey, that works.
That works. I'm glad that's confirmation that I'm not talking shit out my ass. But anyway, eventually, in a couple of weeks, I will start editing and writing that book down. I've had some help in being able to do that. So yes, hopefully before 2024, my book will be out. I've been 5 years working on this motherfucker, so hopefully it'll come the fuck out.
Michael, I wish, now I'm going to have to give you a seminar, all right? You're going to have to watch some of these seminars, but you got to change your thinking, because everything in this universe, the reason what I'm trying to teach you is so important is because it affects everything. It is everything. Even when I was talking about the water, it's creating, these toward fields, they're everywhere. They're overlapping. So nature wants to create these toward fields. The sound is light.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sound is matter, is wood, is the shirt, is this.
It is everything. The interference pattern is what we perceive as reality.
And it has a shape. Okay. You can't see the shape, but the shape is there, and it's represented in everything. Okay. And it's the toward field. All right. The drop of water, the stone dropping into water, you see a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional object. When you look at sound waves in an oscilloscope, you're seeing a three-dimensional object represented in two-dimensional screen. This three-dimensional toward field is always there. It's always around us. It's in us. It's everywhere. It's our voice. It's our blood cells. It's our solar system. It's everything in this
universe. Blood cells have the torus field in them. You look at their shape, it is a torus field.
Exactly. Okay. So the more you think about this toward field, I really want you to start thinking about this toward field. anytime you try to apply bullshit science to reality, throw a toward field in there. Does it line up? If it does, then it's real. If it doesn't, if it's mutated or twisted, then you've got to throw it away.
It will not survive.
All right, because this is how you find truth. In a world of lies, where do you find the truth? Well, you can't find the truth unless you have a foundation. And that foundation is the toward field. Nikola Tesla knew this in 1918. All right, now he wasn't the only one that knew this. There were other ingenious scientists at the time.
But he was labeled as a lunatic for 50 fucking years.
Deep state.
That's them trying to keep us from the truth.
Deep state puppet, Einstein. You have a book with his fucking name on it. He's a goddamn propagated retard, window-licking retarded. His name's fucking Fauci. You just replace Einstein with Fauci.
Oh, yes.
They're different. They're different entities.
Bullshit. You're pushing
Einstein, I respect. Fauci is a piece of fucking garbage.
Fuck Einstein. He's a fucking.
No, Einstein is a fraud.
Seriously?
Yeah, he's
Fauci.
Both y'all are fucking my mind up because I read The Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking, and I hold Einstein. Now, at the same time, I'm looking at the conversation that Einstein had with Niels Bohr in 1925 and trying to figure out the semblance of quantum reality, and that conversation between Niels Bohr and Einstein, to where Einstein said God doesn't throw dice. And my response to that is that God doesn't throw dice. He knows all the fucking answers. Who throws the dice is us. We're defining our reality as we go.
Einstein was a fraud.
Now you're telling me that Einstein is a fraud?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
blow
like
my mind some more.
Okay. Einstein. Who else did you just mention? The dude in the wheelchair. What's his name? Stephen Hawking. These are deep state puppets. These are Clinton Foundation. These are Rockefellers. These are
bought and paid for.
Bought and paid for. All you're getting is lies and manipulations of the truth. Do you want to know the real heroes of the world? Guess what? You won't, because they're executed. They're dead. They're erased from history because they can't have the truth being exposed. But what lasts time? Propaganda. What lasts is bullshit. This is why we're so fucking retarded.
I mean, fuck. I mean, tell me Einstein's complete bullshit. Yeah, there's things about him that I knew that were questionable.
The fact that he was gay, the fact that he was a cross-dresser, the fact that he raped little children and drank their blood, and paralyzed Stephen Hawking has been on Epstein's fucking flight.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Fuck. Yeah, I knew Einstein.
Which is why I've been trying to tell you, you cannot use their bullshit science in reality and expect to get results.
No, Stephen Hawking, I've read both the three. I mean, A Brief History of Time and The Universe in a Nutshell, and they have been extreme reads for me. But the fact that
I bet they were extreme.
Motherfucker,
you have to hit that I believe button 1,000 fucking times reading that book. That don't make sense. I guess I have to believe it. That don't make sense. I bet I have to hit that I believe button. Nope,
well,
that don't make sense.
I got into serious fucking science when I was in high school. I was part of the academic decathlon. I was in AP physics when I was a senior. I was making holograms when I was 17 years old. And so quantum physics and Feynman were essential to my understanding of what reality might be. And the conversation between Niels Bohr and Einstein that changed my concept of reality. Now y'all are, and Mud Rabbit's gone on to all kinds of fucking rabbit holes, including the DNA of the shroud of Turin. Which fucking blows my mind. So yeah, I'm like today's episode. I was trying to recreate the wheel, and evidently from all y'all's information, I am recreating the fucking wheel. Um,
doing is you're taking a spaceship, disassembling it to create a wheel. Okay, because with the if you were taught the truth as a child, could you imagine what you could have delivered to this world? I mean, you created holograms at 17. Imagine if you actually knew the physics of the atom, of what an electron actually is, and what direction it goes, because you can fucking map it because it's a damn toroid field. Instead of going, oh, they're in two places at the same time. No, dumbass. That's one in one dimension and one in another dimension, and they're vibrating really fucking close together. They're the same one in two dimensions. But they can't explain that shit to you because, oh my God, if you actually figured this shit out on your own. You're muted, by the way, Mike. So I can't hear your smart-ass comments. To my smart-ass comments. Oh, he's off. Sorry.
I am in total agreement with you, Carl.
No, I mean, okay, since he's muted and he's not listening to me, I'm going to say this. So the biggest problem we all have is the only knowledge we have is what has been allowed to us from this deep state cabal that has been in control of our civilizations across the globe for thousands of fucking years. The only thing that persists is what they allow to persist. So for you to, and the oldest piece of propaganda on the fucking planet is the God, forgive me, the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's been brutalized and manipulated, and people don't realize it was written by man and disseminated, decipher, the books that create the Bible were picked out by the damn cabal. And the real important shit that's supposed to be in there, that God said has to be in there, they took out.
Yeah, they took out a lot of it.
So all the good stuff that you really need to ascend, to waken up and open up your heart and your soul to the universe and to God, and realize that you are, and everything that you touch is God. And all you have to do is sit silently and resonate for a few minutes, and you could communicate with God, and you could create your own reality through intent and thought and voice.
See, that's part of what whenever Junior's here. See, Junior's is at his own house, and he's communicating through his computer and system on his Wi-Fi in his home. But normally, when he's here physically, because when two or more are present in my name, so there am I.
One, two. That makes sense.
And at that point, things have a form of escalating. I have a communication with the Creator that is, he's got a connection with me that is longínqua, long term. It has been long term.
Don't wait, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you because I don't want to get onto the spiritual. We're talking about science, and you really have to accept. And it's not. I don't want you to hit that fucking I believe button. All right. That's a beautiful thing about this toroid field. All right. The beautiful thing about God is he speaks to us in math. All right. And it's really simple math. It's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 2. And it
Everything doubles.
It's simple. Now, here's the thing. Now, here's the beauty. Here's what I was teaching everybody. If you get a pencil on a piece of paper or just visualize with me, you know what? I can do it.
Well, hold on. I'll make it even faster for you. This channel started with me, Mud Rabbit, Junior, Ariel, Carl, and it's growing and it's expanding, and more people become aware of it. And the more we expand, and the more we touch, and the more we spread, and the more we see, the more things expand, and it becomes that expansion. And that is kind of what the objective is to expand the concept of reality that we have to others. So yes, it is also the Taurus field in that what we would consider grassroots growth or organic growth. It is what you're describing as a Taurus field. Go ahead, Carl.
All right. So real quick. So this is
some more, man. You haven't done any of that all fucking night. Holy shit.
All right. So this is God speaking to you. All right.
All right.
1 + 1 is
2.
2 plus 2 is.
4.
Oh, I probably should put it in here anyway. All right, we'll go in. We'll go inside.
Yeah,
We'll
you
go
did
back.
this with Aaron. Let's
Right.
go ahead.
All right, 4 plus 4 is
8,
8, Nate.
16.
All right, and this to break the number
32.
down.
32, 64, 128, and we got
Don't
our first
jump. Hold on.
computers.
Okay, to break a number down, so we break the numbers down. We can only have a 1-digit number.
All right.
So 16, break 16 down.
7.
Very good. All right, 16 and 16 is
32. 32 breaks down to 5.
very good. 1, 2, 4, and then
You did
5.
this on Aaron's channel
Right.
too.
So 4, this is 5. All right, so it's simple. So 32 and 32 is
64 breaks down
Oh,
to 10.
I see
Breaks
it.
down to 1.
breaks down to
I
1.
see.
All right, so it goes like this. 1, all right, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and it continues. It makes a figure 8. Okay, like this. This is the 0 point. All right, so it doesn't matter how many times you double it. All right, well, we're 64. 64 and 64 is 128. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 8 is 11, equals 2. All right,
And
128,
you also see
128
the
is
evolution of
256.
computers. It goes to 256 and it goes to 512 and it goes
Right,
to
and all of these numbers are amazing, right? Okay, so let's do it real quick. We got 3 and 6. These are our polarities. All right, so 3 plus 3 is,
6,
6,
all right, 6 plus 6 is,
12,
3,
1 plus 3, 12 and 12 is,
24,
24,
2 plus 4 is,
6,
24 and
6.
24, 48, breaks down to 12, breaks down to 3. Okay, so it'll always, no matter how many times you double 3 or 6, they will always end up at 3 or 6.
They always break up back to the beginning.
Okay, now 9,
Hold on 1 second, just for Junior. Junior, todos os números, quando você vai duplicando, quando você reduz para único dígito, todos terminam quebrando para 3, 6, 9. Everything breaks down to 3, 6, 9, correct?
okay, so we've got 9, 3, 6, 1.
Números do Tesla, né?
And Tesla's numbers is what he's inferring.
Yes, 3, 6, and 9, and 0 is here. So 9 and 9,
9, 9 is 18, which breaks down to 9. 9 always breaks down to
18 and
itself.
18 is
9.
36 and
Oh,
36.
sorry. 36. 36 is 9.
3 plus 6 is 9. 36 plus 36 is 72. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Always 9. No matter
9
how many
always
times you
breaks
double
down
9,
to 9.
always. And now the beautiful thing about 9 is a triangle. You add up all the angles, breaks down to 9. Square always breaks down to 9. Octagon always breaks
Always
down
breaks
to
down
9.
to 9. Yes.
You can have a septagon, always breaks down to 9.
All right, hold on. Let me translate that real quick.
Awesome.
Ele está falando que sempre tem o triângulo, sempre os ângulos vão se reduzir para 9. Num quadrado, sempre vai ter os ângulos se quebrando e reduzindo a 9. O octágono, sempre vão ter os ângulos quebrando na sua soma e quebrando um único dígito, sendo 9. Então, 9 termina sendo a soma de todos os ângulos da maioria dos conversões geométricas. Mud Rabbit, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, awesome. I knew the 9 thing, but I didn't know the other stuff. So I'm getting an education here.
All right.
Well, that's the whole thing. Carl's bringing a whole fucking educational level to this shit. Go ahead, Carl.
All right. So 9. 9 gives life to this math. 9 comes down to the 0 point, which is your white hole on top, black hole on the bottom. And then
Force
it comes
field.
right back up. So explain that to him.
O 9 está em cima, você tem os outros números, ele cria um campo de Torres que tem um buraco negro acima e um buraco branco embaixo. Buraco negro onde as coisas entram, buraco branco onde as coisas saem. Go ahead.
All right. So, like I said, this. So, what is easier to, so this is the only math in the world when it's calculated completely out
Toda a
it goes
matemática
forward,
no
it
mundo,
goes
quando é
backwards.
calculado por completo,
I can't draw a three-dimensional donut. Okay?
ele está tentando criar donuts
Didn't the ancients
no
represent
campo
it
de
as a
Torres.
circle with a line through it?
Kind of.
Dude, that is fucked up. The fee? Are you telling me that the Greeks had this shit? Yes, of course they did.
No,
This
I'm
is-
going back
this
to.
is the-
I'm
okay,
going
this
back
is the-
further. That's been seen on cave walls where
Yeah,
they painted
Holy
circles.
shit. Seriously?
Yeah,
So this
with
is
a line
this
through
is
it.
basically your toward field on a side view of it.
Yes.
Okay, but all the information's coming out and coming down and going out. Like I said, the bottom is a black hole. On the other side of the black hole, the top of it is a white hole. All the data, all the information goes into the black hole, gets downloaded into the Akashic record, and then it gets expelled back out.
All right, hold on. Júnior, ele está mencionando agora que o campo de touros, o campo magnético que basicamente abraça absolutamente tudo. De cima parece uma dona com furo no centro. Quando você vê lateral, você vê aquele fluxo de energia. The black hole's on the top or on the bottom?
Bottom.
All right.
Sucks
E no
in.
fundo que tem buraco negro que absorve todas as informações, nesse instante são processados e colocados dentro dos arquivos akáshicos, tá? The Akashic Records.
And then we call
E a
that
partir
the
desse
zero point.
momento, a informação resultante sai pelo buraco branco no topo do campo de touros, e essa é a sequência e fluência da existência como nós conhecemos. E ele está questionando toda a minha percepção do que é realidade mesmo. Então, mente explodida.
Okay, now here's one more. Your science teaches you that
A tua ciência te ensina que
the atom,
o átomo,
the toward field,
o campo de torce.
definition, how do you get the toward field? What is it made up of? How is it defined? The atom.
That's how we perceive it, not necessarily how it's defined.
Push this button. To define in school, they tell you this and they explain it as such. So you must push this a lot. Where I can mathematically show you and give you a physical representation of the calculations. This is God speaking to you.
Always. Que através dos cálculos Deus está falando conosco, porque Deus é matemático também. Então tudo se quebra uma simplicidade onde que é Deus conversando com nós através da matemática de vértices que Ele está ensinando para a gente, os básicos.
That was great, Carl. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, it was a really rough presentation, but without.
Oh no, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was fantastic, Carl. Don't change a fucking thing. That was freaking awesome. And what you did on Aaron's show, you started some of that with yours. It didn't get too mathematical. It didn't get too complicated. Everybody understands it. And fucking absolutely welcome aboard, Carl. Absolutely great information. Sorry for all my expletives. My mother always complains about that, but after all, I don't know. Today's been a rough day, and welcome aboard. This conversation. We're going on 3 hours. We're going on 2 hours and 50 minutes. So I thank you absolutely. The information you brought is crucial. It goes along with what I've been trying to write about with my book. Things that Mud Rabbit has been educating me about for the last 6 months on Jacob's channel, her and Terry getting me into the Akashic Records and everything else, the amount of information they have. I am constantly expanding my mind, and I can only thank you and thank all of you because everyone
was awesome.
has been allowing me to be a better version of me in that destiny tree that I have in that quantum multiverse that I'm trying to
Well,
recreate in my book.
the purpose of your book is to tell the truth, right?
Absolutely, the essence of what creation is and how we can do that, to how we can understand that to make our life better.
Okay, so you don't want to repropagate constant propaganda that you've been taught your whole life, right?
No, that's one of my objectives in the first 2 or 3 chapters, is to prove that matter is resonant energy. So from that point forward, every Cartesian science that we have breaks down, because it becomes more of a Tesla mathematical interference pattern perception of reality, and the duality of matter and wave functions that we've also found in quantum physics, to where everything is resonance. So how you resonate with others, those vibes you have with people, and that we're on the same wavelength, all that verbal verbiage that
It is realer than they realize. When you say you resonate with somebody, it is more, I mean, they have no idea what they're saying and how true it is. When you resonate with somebody else, that means you're actually vibrating at the same vibration as
at
they are.
the same frequency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, what did you like Q, right? What did Q teach us? What is the one thing Q taught us?
Don't trust mass media.
Do your own research.
And the
Do
good guys
your
are
Told us
in
to
the bad ways.
research.
So, but who do we research, right? What do we research?
He just asks questions. You just ask questions.
Right.
We do the research.
Research your idols. Research those who you give credit and worthy to.
Yeah.
If you never researched Einstein, or you have no idea his evil connections and how he doesn't know shit.
See,
No,
I
it's
researched
all fed.
Einstein a lot, but I never
It
never
was all
found
fed
that.
to him.
I mean, the biggest problem, the biggest problem I had with Tesla is, man, he was financed by JP Morgan. And I was like, that didn't say motherfucker. I was pissed. I was mad. I'm like, this guy is so smart. How is he taking money from Satan? He's taking money from, and that's what it was. See, Tesla, he wasn't a people person. He didn't have very good people skills. All right. He was very, scientific, mathematical. He resonated on a much higher frequency than the snakes that wrapped around him.
Genius people have a hard time relating to people who are not geniuses. My grandfather was a genius, and he had a very hard time relating to us as children, relating to his wife, relating to his family. He would lock himself up inside himself.
But so
I don't want to call myself a genius, but I recognize certain things of myself in that. Sorry, Maria.
They have a very hard time assimilating with people who don't understand where they're coming from.
And see, personally, I am half genius, half retarded. I feel like I'm mentally retarded half the day, and then I'll have spikes of genius the other half.
Yeah.
So, I can call myself retarded.
You can't deal with society on the superficial level in which it runs. And that is a problem, because we want everyone to elevate, and not everyone has elevated yet. And it is frustrating.
Just imagine when you have a better understanding of the torrid fields and the world and the universe that we live in, and you start seeing the connections everywhere, and you erase everything that you ever learned in your entire life, and you threw it in the trash can and ground it all up. And all you have is a photocopy for references, okay? And then you can turn on the TV or read a newspaper or a magazine or a science, expose on something, and you can go, what fucking retards? I mean, and you expect people to believe this shit? This is stupid. Yeah. I mean, how dumb do you have to believe?
I've seen that since I was a kid, because I saw the different programming from different cultures, and I'm like, the fuck? No, that's not what it is. But I had to deal with people my entire life to where, no, that's what it is because the media said it is. And my own snowflake mother has that. She believes CNN 100%, and I have to accept that
Yep.
because that is her perception.
Well,
All
we're
my
not going to influence people by telling them how to act. We're going to influence people by how we treat them.
We influence others by how we interact with others and show them how to interact from that point forward with others as well. We propagate the love and we permit the love to flow. That is the only thing that we can do.
So my father and my grandmother and all my aunts and uncles are doctors, lawyers, teachers, extremely educated, lived fairly well off. I lived dirt poor.
No, my grandfather was a doctor.
But, I'm trying to tell them that, look, masks don't work. Follow the science. I'm like, yeah, dude, masks don't work. What are you trying to stop? Oh, we're just trying to stop the spittle from spreading the virus. Wait, the virus is smaller than the spittle, right? Well, yeah. And it could be airborne, right? Oh, yeah. So the mask doesn't work. Well, yes, it does. I'm a doctor. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Chemical weapons, I've been through, my, what is it called? Chemical, biological, I'm missing one, radiological training, where we have to get fit tested for masks. And the most important thing was the filter. And you have to have the right filter against whatever you're being exposed to. Yep. So if you go to Iraq and they hit you with mustard gas and you've got a bloodborne pathogen filter on your mask, guess what? You just got contaminated with mustard gas. Yep. And, if you've got a mustard gas filter and they hit you with a bloodborne pathogen, you're still fucked. You got to know what you're getting exposed with to wear the right filter. And I'm sorry, a fucking paper cotton mask doesn't stop anything.
No,
it doesn't stop dust.
Hold on, Carl. Now we're getting into hold on, Carl. Now we're getting into stuff that I was banned from Jacob's channel. Actually, I got his channel taken down for a week because of this bullshit.
No, we talked about the cause of the thing, not the mask.
You're right. I love Aaron's Invisimask because it is fucking fantastic. Aaron Moriarty.
My mother and I used to dye silk.
His Invisimask.
And we
I am
had
wearing
to wear
his Invisimask right now. I am protected from all this COVID bullshit.
Yeah. Now I love Aaron, but his last name puts him on a. I got to be cautious of him. That last name, them bloodlines, you got to be careful.
Moriarty, my friend Moriarty. Yeah,
he's not Moriarty. He's Moriarty.
Yeah, that was Sherlock's nemesis. And I have made fun with him, and I had made jokes with him for years on that because I've been following Aaron for quite a while before he actually. I love Aaron. He's a great guy, and that's the reason I found you, Carl, is because of Aaron's show.
Well, what I'm surprised is you didn't find me on Red Pill 78.
Now that I'm surprised because I've stopped following Red Pill lately because he's gotten too much into his own.
I've seen you both on Red Pill and on Aaron's.
Yeah.
Mud Rabbit's everywhere. I mean, Mud Rabbit, you're fucking everywhere. You're everybody's mod, including mine.
I'm not Red Pill's mod. I just go there I've been, ever since he started doing news, I've been watching him, 4 or 5 years now?
How the fuck are you not Red Pill's mod?
I don't know, but
he's got Wheezy Girl and a couple others.
He's got Low Country Brooklyn. She beats everybody.
Wheezy Girl, she's been there.
Wheezy Girl's a sweetheart.
Everybody's got her things, and my thing is that Marf is on live right now, and I'm bothered by that because he's been live for God. I need to check out what this stream.
Now, see, Marf, you got to understand, Marfool. Yeah, I know everybody loves the guy, but I'm sorry, he is hardcore fear porn. That's all he loves to talk about.
I understand that. I understand that. I get the Cascadia subduction zone. I get the meteors and everything else. However, unfortunately, that's the kind of specific fear porn that I am resonant towards, because Marv resonates with me on so many different fucking levels. It's bizarre, and him and Dex, it's just an absolutely fantastic fucking show. I need to see how long they've actually been on so far, because I've been cutting into their timeline for I think about an hour or so. But
Oh, and they need to get over there.
no. The conversation with you and Mud Rabbit is always illuminating. I will open myself to absolutely everything to be able to listen to the continuation of all of this. And I can only thank you for your presence and what you have added to.
Well, Michael, I gotta say thank you for listening, because it's not one of the hardest things, and there's a physical. I mean, there's a physical reaction to acknowledging the propaganda that everything that you built your life around is a lie.
It's called a visceral reaction, but I've had that since I was like 5. Okay, whenever I came into reality of 2 different cultures, it basically blew me away. And so I've been on that track for a very long fucking time. Now I'm 49. I'm going to be 50 in 3 months. So yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're almost an old man.
Almost. I feel like I'm over the fucking hill and about to fucking die.
Soon you'll be in my club.
Yeah, I'm still a young chick, man. I don't even think
I'm a grandma.
I won't get to your level, Mud Rabbit. Why? Because I have a retirement plan, which I've mentioned to my entire family. Nobody's gonna be fucking changing my diapers and shipping my ass off to a retirement home like my current grandmother and 91 years old is about to do. Why? Because I'll die well before that. And my coughing in the mornings is a testament to that. I try to appreciate every day while I can.
Hey, Michael, hate to tell you, I smoke almost 2 packs a day, and I have for 20 years. But I'm going to tell you this. When you start contemplating, tonight when you go to bed, I just want you to picture what a torn field looks like.
Yep.
Right? And I just want you to contemplate that picture just as you drift off to sleep. When you wake up, well, first of all, you're going to have some of the craziest fucking dreams of your life. They are vivid. They are exotic. They are wild, and you go places. All right.
So I'll think about the Taurus field tonight. All right. I'll think about that, Carl. Thank you very much.
Now, it's like I said, the link on my Instagram page. It's a pin. It's the top pinned message. It's a 6-minute video, and it's 6 minutes out of a 2 hour, 45-minute seminar. But it shows you great visualizations of the torrid field, our universe, everything.
Are you Combat Carl on Insta?
No, I'm Carl's Fall of the Cabal.
Okay.
He's got my link.
This link right here is what the one that you were talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, cool.
So
I got the right one up. The other one was for actually getting into it.
I think I have a total of 17 followers. Let's see.
I'll catch you on Telegram.
You'll have 2 more. I'm sure that me and Mel.
Oh, and the picture you're looking for is a small vial. The icon for it is a small vial. Come on, where's my own channel? Lost my channel. A lot of people have been posting today.
I see you.
All right. Actually, I mean, we've been on for 3 hours. Just play it and let everybody watch it. There I am. Let's see.
This link is up there. They'll be able to see it even in the reprogram and everything else. It will be live.
That's Telegram. I have Telegram.
Yeah. Okay. I'm up to 20. Wow.
I'm on Telegram too. I haven't been updating it lately. I readjust. I had to switch out the hard drive on my laptop from an actual physical hard drive to an SSD. they fucked up all kind of shit. But from that point forward,
I'm enjoying the SSD.
so yeah, I had to reestablish everything. I was on Telegram a couple of months ago, and I was posting a lot of shit on there. Now I've been a little bit less because of this re-alteration. I just got my Telegram up again, so I'll be able to post a lot more shit on Telegram as well. And I've been following a lot of stuff. Devolution next week, we're gonna have to kick into current realities and devolution and everything else. Today has been fantastic. Thank you, Carl. Welcome to the crew. It
Thank
has
you,
been
Carl.
it has been eye-opening, and the conversation has been fascinating. 3 hours and 5 minutes coming out right now. I don't know how people are going to want to necessarily watch through all of this, but everything has been extremely educational, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
We should do this again.
Yeah. When's the next date? You pick the date.
Tuesdays are when we're on doing this stuff.
I can't wait. I got to talk more about this. I got 8 hours.
I didn't realize
7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
that is because of Mud Rabbit. I didn't have an hour because I'm inconsistent. My personal videos don't have an hour at all. I post them whenever the fuck I do because I'm fucking inconsistent. But my Tuesdays have become a certain hour time slot because of certain necessities of many that are in this. Thank you very much, Mud Rabbit. This happens to be prime time in U.S. listening, so it's also beneficial. So welcome, Carl. Yes, this will be preferably 7:30 Eastern time. We started late today because I had all kinds of other fucked up bullshit that I deal with. However, I will try and maintain this time slot, 7:30 Eastern time. We will do this. I didn't know that other people actually were anticipating this type of time slot. I thank you, Carl. I thank you, Mud Rabbit. I thank you, Ariel, and thank you to Junior who disappeared. But today has been a mind blower. I thank you all very much. We will be again here next Tuesday. 3 hours is a bit. We'll do what we can, but we'll be here next Tuesday. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate you.
Everybody have a good evening, and I hope to see you there, Carl.
Oh, I'll be there.
Wonderful. Good night,
Excellent.
everybody.
The crew is all here. Thank you, everybody. It has been wonderful. Júnior, eu traduzo para você pouco depois, porque tem coisas. Tu pediu iFood. He got his sashimi showed up through iFood. So he's eating in his own apartment, and I'm pissed because he's not here eating the sashimi with me. Fucking asshole. Vai se foder, Júnior. Tá comendo sashimi sem mim. Aparece aqui semana que vem, seu filho da puta. Eu quero comer sashimi contigo. All right, everybody. With that, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Devolution will continue next week.
Hey,
Good
Mike.
night.
Good night.